Welcome to Airchecks. We have a special 4-hour show of Orson Welles this week. A short-lived series of dramatic adaptations, similar to Mercury Theater on the air, but with 30-minute episodes broadcast with a live studio audience. Sponsored by Cresta Blanca Wine. Generally considered not among Welles's best work on radio, this series was hampered by both its half-hour length and the limits of performing before a studio audience. Frequent collaborators included composer/conductor Bernard Herrmann and actors Agnes Moorehead, Joseph Cotten, Arthur Anderson, Dan Seymour, George Coulouris, Ray Collins, Carl Swenson, Eustace Wyatt, Edgar Barrier, Bud Collyer, Hans Conried, and Frank Reddick. Here is Orson Welles. This is my best from 1945.
Good evening. This is Orson Welles, inviting you to listen now to The Heart of Darkness by Joseph Conrad on Cresta Blanca's This Is My Best.
This is My Best, America's greatest stars in the world's best stories. Presented each week by Shenley's Cresta Blanca wine. Wine of friendly nature. Pride of the vintner's art. Symbol of hospitality. Compliment to honored guests. A wine to serve proudly, saying, "This is my best. This is Cresta Blanca." C-R-E-S-T-A B-L-A-N-C-A. Cresta Blanca. Cresta Blanca.
Orson Welles again. I can't tell you how truly pleased and proud I am to join the Cresta Blanca program. This is my best, and I'm glad, too, to start off with an old favorite, a show the Mercury brought you first, a story we came to Hollywood to make a movie of. We never did. Maybe someday we will. But I think it's particularly well suited to radio. Here it is. One of the best regarded and most typical of the works of Joseph Conrad. The Heart of Darkness could be described as a deliberate masterpiece or a downright incantation. Almost we are persuaded that there is something after all, something essential, waiting for all of us in the dark areas of the world, aboriginally loathsome, immeasurable, and certainly nameless. And this also has been one of the dark places of the earth.
8 bells. Guess I better call all hands.
No hurry, mister.
We can't berth the ship anyway till the tide turns. Be nice to see New York again.
What's that you say, Marlowe, about the dark places?
Oh, I was thinking of very old times, when our fathers first came here 400 years ago the other day. Imagine the feelings of a skipper of a fine frigate or a bark. A civilized man 400 years ago hove to off the battery here, at the very end of the world. He'd land in a swamp, march through the woods, and in some inland post feel the savagery, the utter savagery that stirs in the forests, in the jungles, in the hearts of wild men. Has a fascination, too, that goes to work upon him. The abomination, you know. There's a man I knew once. I'd like to tell you about him. About the girl, too.
Now you're getting somewhere.
It's his story.
Well, let's hear it, man.
To understand everything, you ought to know how I got out there. How I went up that river into the dark country, where I met him. It was before the war. I was just loafing around one of the big port towns looking for a ship when I saw that map in a shop window. I was standing there looking at it. I noticed a girl's face reflected in the glass.
It's like a snake, isn't it?
I beg your pardon?
The river.
Oh, the river.
On the map.
Yes.
The way it coils inland there from the coast.
Yeah, it does look like a snake, doesn't it? And that delta there at the mouth of the river, it's like a bird. As if the snake had hypnotized a silly little bird.
Please, I hope you don't think I spoke to you because...
Oh, no.
Well, you see, I come here often to look...
No, don't start apologizing. That'll spoil everything.
Well, the truth is that I have a personal interest in that country shown there on the map.
I've never been there, nearly everywhere else, but... Feeling all right?
It's just a little cold. It always is here in the early mornings.
Well, the sun's shining brightly at the end of the street there.
I know. I often sit there watching the ships in the harbor.
Well, let's go watch them together, shall we? We walked in silence, this strange girl and I, until something, the sight of the harbor, perhaps the sea reaches stretching out to the distant places of the earth, started her talking.
It has been more than a year now since I've heard from him, but I know he's alive. The company was satisfied as long as he went on sending ivory back to the coast. But now they say the ivory has stopped coming.
Well, I should think they'd send an expedition to see what's happened to your friend.
That's unexplored country. The company owns a good steamboat, I believe, but it needs an expert navigator. They have not found a man who was willing to try it.
Well, I've never been a freshwater sailor, but I'm looking for a ship.
Would you...
Well...
Go on to the company office?
Look here, what are you talking me into?
Don't you see it's his work? His work that's so important.
Well, I don't mean to be rude, but bamboozling a bunch of savages for a few elephant tusks, that can't be so important.
But Eric has a plan, you see. The dark country is the beginning only. His plan will change the world.
You really believe that, don't you? What's the name of this remarkable fiancé of yours?
Kurtz. Eric Kurtz.
But what was it, this plan of his?
Well, I don't pretend to have understood it. Later on when I met him, well, we'll come to that part of the story.
Anyway, you went around to the company offices the next day and signed up as skipper of this riverboat.
I got the job quick, too. Seems one of their captains had been killed in a scuffle with the natives.
Oh.
Yes, and a compassionate secretary full of desolation and sympathy made me sign a document. I believe I undertook, among other things, not to disclose any trade secrets. Well, I'm not going to. But you know, it was strange, queer, as though I'd been let into some sort of conspiracy. Something not quite right. I found myself standing in a room as quiet as a city of the dead, while an untidy little doctor thumped my chest and took my pulse.
Good. Good for there, good for where you are going. Excuse me, will you let me measure your head?
What for?
I always ask leave in the interest of science to measure the crania of those going out there.
Oh, and when they come back, too?
No, I never see them. Good Nordic type, superior race, you know. Very interesting, the effect it has.
You never see them?
No. Besides, the changes take place inside. Inside. In the tropics, one must before everything keep calm. That's what I tell them all. Even Mr. Kurtz.
Oh, Mr. Kurtz. You know Mr. Kurtz. Tell me something about him.
Mr. Kurtz is a very great man, sir. Ever have any madness in your family?
Madness? Not that I know of.
Well, excuse me. Goodbye. In the tropics, one must before everything keep calm. Keep calm. That's what I tell them all.
On my way into the dark country, we called in every port. Places with names like Grand Bassam and Little Popo. A tin shed and a flagpole in the wilderness, where the merry dance of death and trade goes on in a still and earthy atmosphere, as of an overheat catacomb. And every day it looked the same. A colossal jungle that seemed to glisten and drip with steam. There it was before you, grand, mean, savage, and always mute with an air of whispering. Come and find out. It was upward of 30 days before I saw the mouth of the big river. The captain of the steamer was a Swede.
Fine lot, these colonial fellas, ain't they? Funny what some people will do for a few francs a month. I wonder what becomes of that kind when it goes up country.
Oh, I'll be able to answer that question before long.
So?
Yeah.
Well, don't be too sure. The other day I took a man up who hanged himself on the road between the wharf and the station.
Hanged himself? Why?
Who knows? Sun was too much for him, or the country, perhaps.
At last we opened to reach. A few dusty, hungry-looking natives watched our boat but made no gesture of greeting.
There's your company's station, Mr. Morrow.
I'm beginning to see why your other passenger hanged himself.
I'll send your things up. 4 boxes, did you say? So, farewell, Mr. Morrow.
made my way across the unspeakable stretch of ground that lay before the station. Ahead of me, 6 natives advanced in a file. Each had an iron collar, and all were connected together with a chain whose bites swung between them. Rhythmically clinking, they seemed disembodied spirits, black shadows of disease and starvation. I hurried on past them, my eyes averted. In the company office, a man was stretched out on a pallet. He was very ill, delirious. I was greeted by the manager and his assistants.
Ah, Mr. Marlowe.
Mr. Marlowe, yes.
Very sorry there was nobody at the boat to meet you.
That's quite all right.
Things have been in a terrible muddle here of late.
Mr. Kurtz, you've heard of Mr. Kurtz.
Oh, yes, I'm very anxious to meet Mr. Kurtz.
The situation is grave, Mr. Marlowe.
It's most grave.
Rumors have come in from the back country that Mr. Kurtz is ill.
Yes, they do say
Never
that.
mind about that. Never mind about that. Genius, Marlowe.
Kurtz?
Oh, yes. If you could see the perfect tons of ivory that man has sent back from the interior.
And he went up to empty-handed.
Well, I understand the ivory stopped coming recently.
Groans of the dying man make it difficult to work.
Man who comes out here should have no entrails.
Marlowe, they tell me you're a navigator of sorts.
Well...
What do you think of the boat?
Well, it doesn't look...
Of course, I forgot to tell you. Last pilot we had hit a snag.
The hull is sunk in the
No
mud.
matter. Everyone behaved splendidly. Splendidly.
Oh, yes, splendidly.
Well, Marlowe, how long will it take you to get afloat again?
Well, how can I tell? I haven't even examined the wreck yet. Some months.
Some months?
Well, certainly.
Won't do at all, my dear fellow. What they tell you about Mr. Kurtz is true.
Well, just what do they tell you about Mr. Kurtz?
Well, there have been rumors. His handling of the natives, for one thing.
Perhaps a trifle,
prestige, you know. He was probably
prestige.
justified. We must hold on to prestige at all costs in this part of the world.
At all costs.
Why does everybody talk around the subject whenever I ask a question about this man Kurtz? Are you all afraid of him or something?
Frankly, Mr. Marlowe, we are. Scared to death of him.
Weeks of waiting. Weeks of waiting for a box full of rivets to come up from the coast. And in those weeks, I saw the station full of white men with long sticks in their hands, strolling aimlessly about like a lot of faithless pilgrims, bewitched inside a rotten fence. The men at the station all seemed to be waiting for something. But all that ever came to them was disease. The word ivory rang in the air. You'd think they were praying to it. Finally, the boat was made ready, and we left. There were 3 of us on that journey, besides the cannibal crew. It was like traveling back to the earliest beginnings of the world, when vegetation rioted on the earth and the big trees were kings. Trees, millions of trees, massive, immense, running up high. And at their foot, hugging the bank against the stream, crept the little begrimed steamboat, like a sluggish beetle, crawling on the floor of a lofty portico. Where the company men imagined it crawled to, I don't know. Someplace where they expected to get something, I bet. For me, crawl toward Kurtz.
Mr. Marlowe, stop the engines!
What's the trouble?
Stop the engines, I tell you! Listen. You hear that?
War drums.
Steersman.
Yes, Buona?
Are those war drums we're hearing?
Masabi war drum.
Masabi, this far down the river.
He's crazy.
Not crazy. Masabi. No make war another tribe. Make war an intruder.
Intruder? That's us, I suppose.
Masabi call on all tribe belong united.
Huh?
In name of Buona, who make rain to fall and fine weather, all same.
What's he saying?
Something about Kurtz, I think.
Well, what about him?
He must have been doing some missionary work up the river. On his own behalf.
Drums. 1,000 drums. The steamer toiled along slowly on the edge of a black and incomprehensible frenzy. The prehistoric man was cursing us, praying to us, welcoming us. Who could tell? We couldn't understand because we were too far. We couldn't remember. You wonder I didn't go ashore for a howl and a dance? Well, no, I didn't. I had to watch the steering. The wooded bank slipped past us slowly, and we crept on toward Kurtz.
Station number 2, Mr. Marlowe.
Yeah? I don't like the look of it.
Neither do I. Better get off and see.
That might not be advisable.
You mean you're afraid?
Mr. Schmidt, why don't you go ashore?
All right. I will. Coming, Mr. Marlowe?
Mr. Marlowe must stay by the wheel.
In case you have to leave suddenly? Very well.
You see this, Marlowe?
Yeah. It's an arrow.
I saw it strike the deck today.
Well, so did I. What about it?
There's no metal in these parts, Mr. Marlowe. This arrow has a steel tip.
Steel tip? You mean...
I don't know what I mean.
Hey, Schmidt! Schmidt, what did you find?
Company officials. They're in the hut.
But
there.
why don't they come out? Answer me, Schmidt. Why don't they come out? Are they dead?
Yeah, they're dead.
Fever?
I can't tell. They haven't any heads.
Some 50 miles beyond, I came upon a hut of reeds. And here we found a piece of board with faded pencil writing on it.
Hurry up, approach cautiously.
Now what the devil does that mean?
We found out later who wrote it. A company man, De Tirpitz. We came too late to do him any good. His head was grinning at us on a pole, where it had been placed in some ritual by Kurtz. I'm not disclosing any trade secrets, but I want you to understand now that Mr. Kurtz had taken a high seat amongst the devils of the land. I mean literally. Let's say his nerves went wrong. He presided at certain midnight dances, ending with unspeakable rites, which, I gathered, were offered up to him, to Mr. Kurtz himself. You can't understand. How could you? A solid pavement under your feet, surrounded by kind neighbors ready to cheer you or to fall on you, stepping delicately between the butcher and the policeman, in the holy terror of scandal and the gallows and the lunatic asylum. How can you imagine what particular region of the first ages a man's untrammeled feet may take him by way of solitude? Utter solitude and silence. At the inner station, we found him. A group of natives appeared, wading waist-deep in the grass, bearing a stretcher. Some carried his arms, 2 shotguns, a heavy rifle, a light revolver, the thunderbolts of that pitiful Jupiter. The dark warm of the wilderness breathed out an immense horde of naked men, a serpent that writhed and stamped, a moving chain of black bodies, carrying on their shoulders the gleaming white ivory.
Hi-yo!
The stretcher was carried up the gangplank from the deck. I looked down on the long, gaunt figure of Kurtz. Kurtz himself. The hollow cage of his ribs. A bald skeleton head, like an ivory ball.
You came a long way for me. A long, hard way. It was a good hunt. You caught me alive.
Put him in his cabin.
Captain. Like it to go, Doctor.
Set him down for a minute.
I'm cheating them. I'm going to be a martyr. I'm going to die.
You a martyr?
Oh, yes. I'm more than a hero already.
Huh.
Not to you. You'll never understand me. Not Kurtz. Not the statue in the public park. There will be one, you know. A big one. Very bad taste. And on this day, every year, they'll make speeches. Lay wreaths at my stone feet. And then the young man will go off singing a song about me. No. You'll never understand. But the ivory. I got you the ivory. You understand that?
Open the door.
Captain Marlowe. Captain Marlowe, I think we should steam up as soon as the ivory is loaded. No telling about these natives.
But Mr. Kurtz...
Mr. Kurtz is a very sick man. There's a remarkable quantity of ivory, but his methods have been unsound.
You call it unsound methods?
Without doubt. Don't you?
Well, no methods at all. But he got the ivory. I consider Mr. Kurtz a remarkable man.
He was. He was a most remarkable man.
The brown current ran swiftly out of the heart of darkness, bearing us down towards the sea. And Kurtz's life was running swiftly too, ebbing out of his heart into the sea of inexorable time.
You know, Marlowe, there's a man now in Europe trying to do what I have done in the jungle. In his madness, he thinks he cannot fail, but he will. A brute can rule only brutes. I have known what the others try to get. Absolute power. I've had it in the one place that was possible. I am the man on top, the one man. The rest are 6 feet on the ground where I buried them. That's the game. Buried the rest of them alive. Stay on top yourself. I won the game, but the winner loses too. He's all alone, and he goes mad.
Kurtz! What are you looking at?
The horror.
They buried something in the river. It was Kurtz. But Kurtz lived again for me. When I came back to that seaport city to see that girl. That strange and lovely girl. Oh, yes. He lived then for me. The vision entered the house with me when I went to see her. The stretcher. The wild crowd of worshippers. The gloom of the forest. The glitter of the reach between the murky bends. The beat of the drums, regular and muffled, like the beating of a heart. The heart of a conquering darkness. His words came back to me.
The winner loses.
Mr. Marlowe? Mr. Marlowe?
I saw them in the same instant of time. His death and her sorrow. I saw them together. Heard them together.
You were with him when he died? You knew him well.
As well as it's possible for one man to know another.
Then you know what vast plans he had. Something must remain. His words, at least, have not died.
His words will remain.
You were with him to the last.
The very end. I heard his very last words.
Repeat them. I want something. Something to live with.
The dusk was repeating the words around us, like the first whisper of a rising wind.
His last words. To live with.
His last words? The last word he pronounced was your name.
I knew it. I was sure.
Should I have told her the truth? I couldn't. I couldn't tell her. It would have been too dark. Too dark altogether. Well, we've lost the first of the ebb. And see, the river. Sleepless, crowded with memories of men and ships that had borne to the rest of home or to the battles of the sea. Hunters for gold and pursuers of fame. My friends, what greatness has not flowed on the ebb of that river into the mystery of an unknown earth? The dreams of men, the seed of commonwealth, the germs of empires. The river is black tonight, my friends. Look, it seems to lead into the heart of an immense darkness.
Shenley's Cresta Blanca wine joins our audience here in Hollywood in applauding Orson Welles for his production of Heart of Darkness. In a few moments, Mr. Welles will be back to tell you about next week. If there's one thing above all else that gives a charming woman a grand lift of spirit, it's to have her friends speak of her as a perfect hostess. And today, the perfect hostess usually serves a fine wine with her dinner. A wine like Cresta Blanca. For Cresta Blanca wine has a way of saying to her guests, welcome, we're glad you're here. Cresta Blanca adds a gay note of festivity to the meal. And remember, the service of wine is a simple thing. Just choose the Cresta Blanca table wine you like the best and serve it well chilled. It may be a white table wine like Cresta Blanca California Sauterne. Or it may be a red table wine, such as Cresta Blanca California Burgundy or Claret. To a simple family meal or when company comes, a Cresta Blanca wine is the crowning touch. The crest of quality in wine since 1889. Now, Mr. Orson Welles.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Before I tell you about next week's show, here's an announcement from the Office of War Information. This year, tens of thousands of hitherto deferred farm workers are scheduled to be called into the armed services. No longer a patriotic hobby, but a vital war necessity for all who have garden plots to grow victory gardens in 1945. You can get expert advice free by writing to your state agricultural college or to Victory Gardens, Washington 25, D.C. And now about next week's show. It's a comedy by the man who wrote Mr. Winkle Goes to War. One of my favorite people, Ann Sothern, will be the star. Title is Miss Dilly Says No, Need I Say More? I sincerely hope you'll be with us next week. Until then, I remain, as always, obediently yours.
Our musical score was composed and conducted by Bernard Katz. Don't forget next week when Ann Sothern will star in a radio adaptation of Theodore Pratt's story, Miss Dilly Says No. And remember, whenever you dine with wine. And make it the best wine. Cresta Blanca. Cresta Blanca. Cresta Blanca. This is My Best, prepared in collaboration with Whit Burnett, editor of the book This Is My Best, is a presentation of the Cresta Blanca Wine Company of Livermore, California, and came to you from Columbia's Playhouse in Hollywood. John McIntire speaking. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
Good evening, this is Orson Welles, inviting you to listen now to Ann Sothern in Miss Dilly Says No on Cresta Blanca's This Is My Best.
This is My Best, America's greatest stars in the world's best stories. Presented each week by Shenley's Cresta Blanca wine. Wine of friendly nature. Pride of the vintner's art. Symbol of hospitality. Compliment to honored guests. A wine to serve proudly, saying, "This is my best. This is Cresta Blanca." Cresta Blanca. Cresta Blanca. Cresta Blanca. Now for Miss Dilly Says No with Ann Southern, who appears through the courtesy of Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer, the producers of The Picture of Dorian Gray.
Orson Welles again, we're proud to say that tonight's story has been chosen for rebroadcast overseas. And our guest is another source of pride. Past argument, Ann Southern is one of the most extremely scrumptious and likewise gifted of stardom's citizenry. Her Maisie is an American institution. The heroine she brings to life on This Is My Best tonight is no less remarkable a personage, believe me. Miss Dilly is the name, Miss Dilly, from Theodore Pratt's best-selling fable, Miss Dilly Says No. Scene, that most wildly improbable of all the never-never lands on this whirling globe of ours, the grand capital of glamour, the home of nut burgers and Mike Romanoff and Hedda Hopper's hats. You guessed it. Yes, Miss Dilly Says No, where no is seldom said. In Hollywood!
Mr. Gladstone's office, Miss Dilly speaking. I'm sorry, I'm only Mr. Gladstone's secretary. Hold on a moment, please. Miss Dilly speaking. What? No, Mr. Gladstone doesn't want the mixed choir or the Swiss bell ringers in the picture. He's decided to use Shetland ponies instead. Sorry. Hello? What's that? Oh, you've got the wrong studio. This is Superior Pictures.
Miss Dilly, whom you've just met, is secretary to one of Hollywood's biggest producers. But Miss Dilly is no ordinary secretary. She's also a writer. For the first 5 years of her endeavor, she's averaged 24 original screen stories, or 2 a month. This made 240 in all, though it was not her grand total. At the moment, however, Miss Dilly has given up all hopes of ever selling a story to the movies and is collecting rejection slips from the book publishers. In fact, only one thing keeps Miss Dilly from getting a job in some other industry, and that is Mr. Horatio. Mr. Horatio is a member of the board of directors of Superior Studios, and Miss Dilly sees him once a year when he comes to Hollywood to attend the annual board meeting. She's had no more success with Mr. Horatio than she's had with her stories, but as I pointed out, Miss Dilly is a very unusual character. So in point of fact is Mr. Horatio. Your obedient servant will essay the role, if you'll excuse him, please, while he gets into character. Take it away, Miss Dilly.
You rang, Mr. Horatio.
Oh, why, Miss Dilly. Come in, here. Take this chair.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Horatio.
So you're going to help me again this year?
Well, I'll be glad to do what I can.
Yes. Yes, indeed.
You wanted to dictate a letter?
It goes to Gino Bonelli, Gatehouse, Horatio Hall, Mount Kisco, New York. Dear Bonelli, I have been thinking over the problem which you laid before me just before I left the coast concerning the disposition of the Duchess of Beansborough, Rosebush.
Rosebush?
The letter is to my gardener.
Gee.
To continue, I had seriously considered planting it down near the swimming pool, but I note a tendency to ranginess in the roses we placed there last year. It's too far from the house, and I would hardly ever see it there. On second thought, what do you think?
I beg your pardon?
Where do you think it should go, Miss Dilly?
Well, I guess there's only one thing to do, Mr. Horatio. Plant it beside the gate where you go in and out on your walks every day.
Excellent suggestion, Miss Dilly, excellent. Then I'll see it every day.
Yes.
I'll see it twice, coming and going. I'll see it more than twice if I come and go more than once.
Yeah.
Thank you, Miss Dilly, for your generous advice.
Oh, you're welcome, Mr. Horatio. In fact, more than welcome.
Yes. Then we'll conclude the letter. There's a helpful friend. That's you, Miss Dilly.
Oh, thank
in
you.
the studio. Has suggested that we plant the rose beside the west gate. Sign it cordially yours with regards to Mrs. Benelli and the children, E. Horatio.
Yes, well, I'll type this up and send it right away, airmail.
Good, good. I'll send you a rose from the bush, Miss Dilly.
Oh, Mr. Horatio.
Uh-huh. As a reward for your suggestion.
Oh, well, I'll look forward to it.
You shall receive it without fail. The very first time it blooms.
Oh, well, that'll be wonderful.
I'll send 2.
Oh, Mr. Horatio.
Well, I expect I'd better be getting on this evening. The board is meeting with Mr. Gladstone, and yes, well, goodbye.
Goodbye, Mr. Horatio.
Au revoir, I should have said, Miss Dilly. Until next year.
Until next year. Until next year.
Hi, Dilly.
Hello, Marilla.
So you let him get away again.
Well, he promised to send me a rose, though.
If you don't take the Oscar for a dumb performance, carrying the torch for a guy, you see him once a year, and when the day rolls around, you get him all alone. All you come away with is an IOU for a couple of roses.
Oh, you don't understand, Marilla. He doesn't even know I exist, even.
Funny, he remembers you from year to year. Why, his beard was fairly twitching when he asked me to send you in a while ago.
Oh, it's such a handsome beard. Marilla.
Yes, Dilly.
When you kiss a man with a beard, does it, tickle?
Hasn't he even kissed you?
Oh, Marilla, we live in different worlds, that's all. He's a great financier, and I'm just
Financier? Listen, anybody can be a financier. All you need is the money. Oh, I forgot. I came in to bring you this.
A telegram?
Sure, it's a telegram.
Now, who on earth
Well,
would
open
be
it and
sending-
see.
Marilla.
What is it? Is somebody dead?
Listen to this. Your manuscript titled Forever Hollywood has been accepted for publication on our spring list.
Dilly!
We reluctantly accept your proviso that no personal information concerning you or your connection with Superior Pictures will be divulged by us. Signed, Algernon Klopman, President, Klopman Schuster Publishing Company.
But, Dilly, why do you want to keep it a secret?
Because, well, I might lose my job.
Oh, what do you care? You're an author now. Why, your book will make $1 million.
Oh.
I'll bet it will.
Oh, why?
Well, even if it only made a few thousand.
But don't you see, I just have to keep my job. Otherwise, I won't see Mr. Horatio next year.
Miss Dilly,
Yes, Mr. Gladstone.
come in here right away and bring your book.
My shorthand book?
You know perfectly well what book I mean. That book. Bring it in here.
Yes, Mr. Gladstone. Yes, Mr. Gladstone.
Sit down. Close the door, Jonah.
Close the door. Right, Chief.
Well, Miss Dilly?
Well, Mr. Gladstone, I never had any idea they'd really print it. Honestly, I didn't. You yourself said my writing stank, even in Technicolor.
This is no time for levity, Miss Dilly. Sit still, Miss Dilly. Answer that, Jonah.
Right, Chief. Who's that? You snail. You earthworm.
Who was that?
Arthur Horntoot Jr. over at Culver. The bum.
Oh, now, listen to me, Miss Dilly. I don't want to have any unpleasantness about this, but...
Who's this? Oh, you jerks. You double-barreled, three-plied heels, you.
Who was that?
Tantamount Pictures.
That quickie factory. You see what you've done to us, Miss Dilly?
No, I don't.
Those other companies.
Crooks.
They want to buy your book.
Buy my book?
Suppose they'd got to you before we knew anything about it. How do you think we would have felt here at Superior?
Well, I'm sorry if some of the things I said in my book were... Well, I mean, one has to write from one's own experience.
You don't understand, Miss Dilly. We want your book, too.
We want to make a picture of it.
We want to pay you money for it.
$5,000.
Yeah, I'll get this one.
Okay.
Who's this? Robbers, talent thieves, bloodsuckers.
Who was that?
Mercury. Those...
Did you say Mercury, boss?
Yes, those scavengers.
Yeah.
Miss Dilly, don't get your ideas too high. Let's say $7,500.
Have you read my book, Mr. Gladstone?
Of course not.
You, Mr. Jonah?
With the other studios bidding like this, I should waste my time reading it?
Well, how about it, Miss Dilly? $10,000. That's our final offer.
You better take it, Miss Dilly.
Mr. Gladstone's office.
I didn't mean take the phone.
This is Miss Dilly. Oh, yes, Mr. Klopman. Well, would $35,000 be too much?
Oh.
Thank you, Mr. Klopman.
Who was that?
My publisher. Imagine, Forever Hollywood has been chosen by the Book of the Month Club.
That means $300,000 right there.
Yeah.
And he says it's selling 1,000 copies a day, including Sundays.
Including Sundays. Well, let me see now. That's 7,000 copies a week at $2.50 a copy. That's $2,625 per week.
Jonah.
Yes, BG?
Do you mean to say that she makes more money a week than I do?
Yes, BG, it looks that way.
Mr. Gladstone. Mr. Gladstone, I think I'm going to faint.
Get some water. She's fainted.
Right, Chief?
No, wait. While she's out, we'd better plan our strategy.
Yeah, it's a good idea, Chief.
Here's what we can do.
Yeah?
After she gets off work tonight,
Yeah.
we have a car waiting at the studio
gate. With Ann Sothern as star, Cresta Blanca is bringing you Orson Welles' production of Miss Dilly Says No on This Is My Best. A witty and practical Frenchman once said, as only a Frenchman would, a poem can ne'er with a dinner compare. Undoubtedly, many of you will agree. You know yourself the feeling of complete well-being you experience after a good dinner. And when you have also enjoyed a fine wine with your dinner, you have special reason for satisfaction. For fine wines and fine foods just naturally go together. One complements the other. And if the wine served with your meal is a fine Cresta Blanca California Sauterne, your dinner is beyond comparison. This excellent Sauterne has a distinctive, dry character that always awakens the hidden flavors in fine foods and creates pleasing taste harmonies. It's a light-bodied, golden wine with a delicious, full flavor. It has a delicate aroma all its own. You'll especially enjoy Cresta Blanca Sauterne when you serve it well chilled.
Orson Welles again, raising the curtain on Act 2 of Miss Dilly Says No. As our story proceeds, Miss Dilly, enacted, as you will have noticed, by Ann Sothern, is still in a dead faint from the shock of having become overnight America's best-selling authoress. Lest the movie rights to her book be captured by some rival studio, Superior Productions, where Miss Dilly is employed as a secretary, have placed her in the protective custody of a trusted studio policeman. As we look in on her now, she's whizzing along one of Hollywood's wide boulevards in a bulletproof limousine.
Where am I? What happened?
Oh, it's all right, Dilly. You just passed out from excitement.
Is this an ambulance we're riding in?
No, it's only Mr. Gladstone's car.
Only? What are you doing here, Timothy?
Well, all I know is I'm supposed to go along everywhere you go and sit outside the door of your apartment and not let anybody in but her.
Well, we certainly aren't going in the direction of my apartment. We're going in the exact opposite direction.
What's that? Well, for crying out loud. Hey, you driver. Hey, Mac, pull up. Stop the car. I got you covered, so you better do as I say.
Keep your shirt on, Copper. I'll park as fast as I can.
Who are you? You're not Mr. Gladstone's driver?
I'm Bill Greps from Intentional Pictures. This was the only way I could get an interview with Miss Dilly.
Go on, get out. Go on before I let you have it with both barrels.
Look, I just want to ask her one question. Miss Dilly, what was your last offer?
Amalgamated offered me $45,000.
All right. If Amalgamated will verify that, we'll make it 50. You say it's a deal, I'll say it's a deal. Then it's a deal, because a deal is a deal.
No, thank you.
All right. What is your price?
I haven't any.
You want to talk to him anymore, Miss Dilly?
No.
You sure you don't? You heard what he said, 50 grand.
It doesn't matter, Timothy.
But 50 grand?
Timothy, are you working for Superior or Intentional Pictures?
I'm trying to work for you.
All right, then. Just go ahead and do as Mr. Gladstone told you.
Couldn't very well do that, Miss Dilly.
Why not?
Well, after all, Miss Dilly, murder's against the law.
Well, Miss Dilly, have a good night.
Oh, yes, Mr. Gladstone. Fine, thank you.
Nobody bothered you?
Oh, no. No, nothing at all.
Thank the Lord. Miss Dilly, I read your book last night.
You did?
Yes, I don't often read a book, but I must say yours is a dilly.
Yours is a dilly. That's very funny, Chief.
Shut up, Jonah.
Yeah.
Confidentially, Miss Dilly, what's your highest offer so far?
Well,
Miss Dilly, look, we're prepared to go $60,000 if you'll just say it's a deal this minute as of now. What do you say?
No.
She said no.
What do you want, Miss Dilly?
Well, for one thing, I'd like a raise to $40 a week.
What?
Don't cloud the issue, Miss Dilly. We're talking about your story.
Mr. Gladstone, I don't want to sell my book to you or to any other studio.
Nonsense! Who ever heard of anybody not selling a book to pictures?
Mr. Gladstone, you shouldn't get so excited.
I'll get as excited as I
It's
please.
not good for you, Mr. Gladstone. Remember your nerves. You know how you always break out in shingles.
Yeah, but why, Miss Dilly? Why won't you sell?
Yes, why?
Well, because I don't feel like it.
You don't feel like it?
No. I thought it all over last night, and I got to thinking about you, Mr. Gladstone, and all the men like you. And I decided that for your own good, it was high time someone said no to you.
Hello, Dilly.
Marilla, imagine. Mr. Horatio's invited me to eat dinner and go dancing.
Whoopee.
Goodness, I can't possibly be ready. I don't even own an evening dress.
Sap, tell Gladstone to get you one out of wardrobe.
Oh, I couldn't do that.
Oh, tell him it's business. You're going out with a member of the board of directors, ain't you?
Well, I suppose I could tell him that.
And listen, this time, make sure he kisses you. Otherwise, you'll be waiting around till next year again.
Well, how can I make sure?
Oh, simple. Give him the old necktie treatment.
Necktie treatment? What's that?
Well, when you're driving there in the taxi and the taxi goes around the corner, you just lose your balance a little and lean against him. Not too heavy, you understand, just nice-like. And if that doesn't work, then you notice that his tie is crooked and offer to straighten it for him. If you look right into their eyes while you're fixing the tie, they never last around the next corner. Oh, excuse me, Mr. Horatio.
Oh, it wasn't your fault, Miss Dilly. Driver, not so fast, if you please. Good thing I was sitting here beside you, Miss Dilly. Might have thrown you straight out the other window.
Oh, I don't think that would have happened. Now, look what I've done.
Oh, what's that?
Your necktie.
Oh, that's all right.
It's all crooked. Here.
Oh, no, don't.
Let me straighten it for
Well,
you. Oh, why, Mr. Horatio.
I guess I shouldn't have done that.
I'm glad you kissed me.
Well, I'm glad you're glad, Miss Dilly, because I'm glad.
It did tickle.
2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2. I'm sorry. Excuse me. Very clumsy of me. 2, 3. 1, 2. 3. You waltz beautifully, Miss Dilly.
Oh, well, thank you. So do you.
2, 3. Miss Dilly, there's something I must confess to you. I don't want you to think I've offered you my friendship under any false pretenses. When I explain something to you, Miss Dilly, I really think that I ought to...
Well, I think you'd better wait till we get back to your table.
To my yes, that's a splendid... I can't hear yourself think out here, can you? No. There we are.
Now then, you say you have a confession to make.
Well, it's not exactly a confession, Miss Dilly, but I've sometimes wondered if there wasn't a bond between us. Our names.
First names, you mean?
I've noticed you always sign your name S. Dilly.
And you always sign yours E. Horatio.
I'll tell you what E stands for if you'll tell me what S stands for.
All right. If you promise never to call me by my first name.
You'll have to promise the same.
I promise.
All right. Mine is Eliphalet.
I think I'd better go on calling you Mr. Horatio.
And yours?
Sophonisba.
Yes. I see what you mean, Miss Dilly. Oh, well, here we are.
It's been a lovely evening, Mr. Horatio.
Has it?
Yes.
Has it. Do you really think so?
Oh, yes. Yes, I do, don't you?
Well, let's do it all over again tomorrow evening, shall we?
Oh, yes.
Do it all over again.
Well, good night.
Good night. Oh, I almost forgot.
Yes,
Miss
dear.
Dilly, I'm happy to tell you that the studio would like to purchase your book and make a picture out of it. Mm-hmm.
You?
And yes.
You, too?
And I'm particularly happy to let you know the price we're willing to offer for it, Miss
No,
Dilly.
no.
$100,000.
Mr. Horatio, I thought you didn't like financial matters.
Well, I don't. Well, what's the matter?
Can you ask that?
But did you want more money, Miss Dilly? Is that it? If it is, I don't see why it can't be arranged.
Oh, I thought you cared for me. And all the time you were working with the studio to try to get me to sell my book for pictures.
Oh, but what's wrong with that, Miss Dilly?
Oh, I never want to see you again as long as I live, you Eliphalet!
Miss Dilly, will you come in here for a moment, please?
Yes, Mr. Gladstone.
Sit down, Miss Dilly. Have a cigarette.
No, thank you.
Don't look so frightened, Miss Dilly. I'm not going to talk about your story.
Then why are you scratching yourself like that?
It's my shingles. They've come back, Miss Dilly.
Oh, that's what I thought. I warned you against getting so excited, Mr. Gladstone.
This is the worst case of shingles I've ever had, Miss Dilly. And I've been asking myself why.
Well, Mr. Gladstone, pardon me for saying so, but you know that scratching like that only makes them worse.
Why, I ask myself. Why is it worse this time?
Well, maybe it's because nobody ever said no to you before, Mr. Gladstone.
This is your fault, Miss Dilly. Those shingles, it's all your fault.
Well, I'll do anything I can to help, Mr. Gladstone. Maybe I could help you scratch them.
I lay awake all night asking myself why. Why are they worse this time? Is it Miss Dilly's story I want, or is it Miss Dilly?
Mr. Gladstone.
I love you, Miss Dilly. I've never loved anybody else for an instant. Marry me, and we'll produce your story together.
Now, Mr. Gladstone.
Say yes, Miss Dilly. Say yes, and put an end to my suffering.
Oh, now really, Mr. Gladstone, you don't have to do this. I've changed my mind. Really, I have. I'll sell you the story. You can have it for nothing.
Oh, Dilly, the least I can do... Huh? What's that?
I said I've changed my mind. You can have my story.
Well, now you're talking.
You see, Mr. Gladstone, I thought saying no to all that money might restore some people's faith in human nature, but now, well, I haven't got any faith in human nature myself anymore, so if you want me to, I'll sign the contract.
Oh, Miss Dilly, here, sign your name to this quickly before you change your mind.
There's no ink in the pen.
Here, take mine. Right here, Miss Dilly.
Stop. I forbid you to sign that.
You get out of here, you Eliphalet.
Shut up, Sophonisba.
Now, come. Let's not call each other dirty names.
Miss Dilly, you have misunderstood me perfectly dreadfully. They didn't tell me you didn't want to sell your book. They explained to me that it was just a question of price. They didn't say anything else, not a thing. I thought I was giving you such a nice, big surprise yesterday evening.
Oh, well, how can I believe you? How can I believe anybody? Give me back that pen, Mr. Gladstone. I'm going to sign.
If you sign that paper, you'll destroy all my faith in your integrity. If you sign, I won't even ask you to marry me.
You won't... What?
Ask you to marry me.
Mr. Horatio.
Well, I wouldn't want to go around asking you if I thought your answer was going to be no, Miss Dilly. It wouldn't be no, would it, Miss Dilly?
No. Of course it won't be no. No, Mr. Horatio.
Shenley's Cresta Blanca wine joins the audience here in Hollywood in applauding Ann Sothern and Orson Welles for their performances in tonight's play on This Is My Best. In a few moments, Mr. Welles will be back to tell you about next week. A clever hostess soon learns that when good food and good wine keep company at dinner, her hospitality is at its best. Especially when she serves a fine Cresta Blanca California table wine with the meal. She has learned this excellent wine always lends a charming, friendly touch to the occasion. The next time you invite friends for dinner, plan to serve this excellent wine with your meal. Then notice how conversation sparkles and how everyone soon feels at home. There are just two things to remember in serving wine. First, choose the wine you like best and serve it well chilled. You may prefer a red table wine like Cresta Blanca California Burgundy or Claret, or a white table wine such as Cresta Blanca California Sauterne. No matter which you choose, when you see the words Cresta Blanca on the bottle, you can be assured you have chosen the crest of quality in wine since 1889. Now here is your Cresta Blanca host, Orson Welles.
Thank you. I'm thanking you for one of our favorite performers, yours and mine, Miss Ann Sothern. She thanks you, and I thank her for a very swell Miss Dilly. Thanks, too, from both of us to the rest of the cast, with special reference to Mr. Gladstone, so richly delineated this evening by a really grand trooper, Mr. Francis X. Bushman. Now, before I tell you about next week's show, just a word about paper. Paper is a war material. With this year's increased manpower shortages, only an intensified paper salvage program can produce the amounts needed. Contact your local paper salvage committee. Thanks. Well, when Cresta Blanca first inaugurated This Is My Best, it was inevitable that sooner or later we'd get around to Walt Disney. We weren't especially surprised to learn that he still considers Snow White his best. So next week, Easter week, seemed an appropriate time to present our radio version of Mr. Disney's very delightful and very tuneful masterpiece. We'll have with us one of the screen's loveliest young singing stars, Miss Jane Powell. So until next week, until Snow White, I remain as always, obediently yours.
Our musical score was composed by Bernard Katz. Our radio play was by Robert Tallman. Don't forget next week when Orson Welles will again be with us as your Cresta Blanca host to present Walt Disney's Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, starring Jane Powell. And remember, whenever you dine, dine with wine, and make it the best wine. Cresta Blanca. Cresta Blanca. Cresta Blanca. This Is My Best, prepared in collaboration with Whit Burnett, editor of the book This Is My Best, is a presentation of the Cresta Blanca Wine Company of Livermore, California, and came to you from Columbia's Playhouse in Hollywood. John McIntire speaking. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
Good evening. This is Orson Welles, inviting you to listen to Walt Disney's Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs on Cresta Blanca's This Is My Best.
This is My Best, America's greatest stars in the world's best stories. Presented each week by Shenley's Cresta Blanca wine. Wine of friendly nature. Pride of the vintner's art. Symbol of hospitality. Compliment to honored guest. A wine to serve proudly, saying, "This is my best. This is Cresta Blanca." Cresta Blanca. Cresta Blanca. Cresta Blanca. Our guest tonight is Jane Powell, who appears through the courtesy of Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer, the producers of The Picture of Dorian Gray. And now here's our director, Mr. Wells.
We're very proud. Thank you. We're very proud that tonight's show has been chosen for rebroadcast overseas, and I'm proud, too, if you'll pardon the personal reference, because my oldest daughter, Christopher, is 7 years old today. Like most young ladies and gentlemen of her age, Christopher likes her father to tell her a story. Well, I don't know a better one than Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. In recent memory, Walt Disney contrived the best of all his technicolored fables on the theme, and none of us who've met Dopey and Doc or the rest of the seven, none of us who've heard the warm and irresistibly singable songs from Walt's picture are likely to forget those wonderful things for as long as we live. Disney didn't write the story, of course, and neither did the brothers Grimm, who first put it into print. The tale is a little bit older than time, so nobody remembers who first thought it up. Maybe it really happened. Whatever the facts of the matter, it surely belongs on This Is My Best and on my daughter's birthday. Once upon a time in the middle of winter, when the flakes of snow were falling like feathers from the sky, a queen sat at a window sewing. And while she was sewing, she pricked her finger with a needle, and 3 drops of blood fell upon the snow. And the red looked pretty upon the white snow, and she thought to herself, would that I had a child as white as snow, as red as blood, and as black as the wood of the window frame. Soon after that, she had a little daughter who was as white as snow and red as blood, and her hair was as black as ebony. And she was therefore called Little Snow White. And when the child was born, the queen died. After a year had passed, the king took to himself another wife. She was a beautiful woman, but she could not bear that anyone else should surpass her in beauty. She had a wonderful looking glass, and when she stood in front of it and looked at herself in it, she said,
Magic mirror on the wall, who is the fairest one of all?
And the looking glass answered,
Thou, O queen, art the fairest of all.
But Snow White was growing up and grew more and more beautiful. She was as beautiful as the day, and more beautiful than the queen herself. And finally the queen asked her looking glass,
Magic mirror on the wall, who is the fairest one of all?
And the looking glass answered,
Famed is thy beauty, Majesty, but hold, a lovely maid I see. Alas, she is more fair than thee.
Alas for her! Reveal her name!
Lips red as rose, hair black as ebony, skin white as snow.
Snow White!
At this, the wicked queen locked Snow White away in a distant wing of the castle and dressed her in rags, that none might learn of her beauty. But in the walled garden outside Snow White's room was a wishing well, and there each day she would walk with her friends, the birds, who came from far away to listen to her song.
I'm wishing for the one I love to find me today. I'm wishing for the one I love to find me
Hello.
Oh,
Did I frighten you?
no, but I think you'd better go now before the Queen's cards catch you here.
No. Wait.
Now that I've found you, hear what I have to say. One song, I have but one song. One song only for you. One heart tenderly beating, ever entreating, constantly true. One love that has possessed me. One love thrilling me through. One song my heart keeps singing, of one love only for you.
It was not long before word came to the queen that a prince of a mighty neighboring realm had sought out Snow White and declared his love for her. When she heard that, she turned green and then yellow with jealous rage and summoned a faithful huntsman to do her despicable bidding.
Take her far into the forest. Find some secluded glade where she can pick wild flowers.
Yes, Your Majesty.
And there, my faithful huntsman, you will kill her.
But Your Majesty, the little princess...
To make doubly sure you do not fail, bring back her heart to me in this jeweled casket.
Her heart, Majesty?
Her heart.
And so the huntsman took Snow White into the forest to do as the queen had bid him to do. Deeper and deeper the path ran, into the glades at the very depths of the forest, where the sun seldom penetrates, and the day is like a fetid midnight, in the reek of rotting leaves. And when they had got there, the huntsman drew forth his knife and held it above her.
Forgive me. I beg of your highness, forgive me.
Why, I don't understand.
She's mad with jealousy. She'll stop at nothing.
But who?
The queen, your stepmother.
Commanded you to kill me?
Yes. Run, hide, hide.
Where can I go?
Through the woods, over the 7 hills, anywhere.
But I don't know the way.
It's no matter. Go quickly. Run away. Hide!
Now Snow White began to run. In her terror, the branches of the trees were like giant clutching hands, reaching out to claw at her, choke her, tear her to pieces. An owl flew out of a thicket. A bat circled above her head, regarding her with red, sightless, malevolent eyes. And now, all around, closing her in, were luminous, gleaming, glowing eyes. Coming out of the black night of the forest, evil, shining eyes, coming closer, closer, closer. And when they came still closer, Snow White was ashamed that she'd been so frightened. For now, as the dawn came up, she saw that the shining eyes had belonged to the gentlest animals of the forest, and her scream of terror had sent them scampering for cover.
Please don't run away. I won't hurt you. But you don't know what I've been through, and all because I was afraid. But I'm so ashamed of the fuss I made. What do you do when things go wrong? You sing a song?
With a smile and a song, life is just like a bright sunny day. Your cares fade away, and your heart is young. With a smile and a song, all the world seems to waken anew, rejoicing with you as the song is sung. There's no use in grumbling when raindrops come tumbling. Remember, you're the
Towards evening, Snow White came upon a little cottage in the forest and went into it to rest herself. The cottage was small, very small.
Oh, how adorable. 7 little beds. And look, they have their names carved on them. Doc, Happy, Sneezy, Dopey. What funny names for children. And Grumpy, and Bashful, and Sleepy. Oh, I'm a little sleepy myself. Maybe if I just lie down across the beds without mussing them up. Oh, it's so soft and nice. I'm so sleepy.
It's home from work we go. Hi-ho, 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 all 7 in a row. With a hi, hi-ho, hi-ho, hi-ho. Hi-ho, 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 hi.
Shut up, shut up.
Somebody's been sleeping in my bed.
And in mine.
It's a girl.
Oh, and she's beautiful.
Just like an angel.
Angel? Huh, she's a female. And all females is poison.
Not so loud. You'll wake her up.
Oh, let her wake up. She don't belong here nohow.
Oh, why, you're little men. How do you do? I said, how do you do?
How do you do what?
Oh, you can talk. I'm so glad. Now, don't tell me who you are. Let me guess. I know. You're Grumpy. And you're Doc.
Why, yes. Why, that's true.
And you're Bashful.
Yep, that's him.
Just a little.
And you?
Me? Oh,
You're Sleepy.
How'd you guess?
And you're Sneezy.
Not that time.
Oh, Sneezy. And you must be.
You're Happy, ma'am. That's me. And this here is Dopey. He don't talk none.
You mean he can't?
He don't know. He never tried.
Shut up, all of you. Shut up. Now, you young lady, we know who we are. Who are you?
I'm Snow White.
Snow White, the princess.
Yes, and please don't send me away. If you do, she'll kill me.
Who?
My stepmother, the Queen.
Well, then, I guess we better let you stay.
Oh, you won't be sorry. I'll keep house for you. I'll wash and sew and sweep and cook and...
Cook?
And I can also tell stories.
Tell us a story now.
Oh, what kind of story would you like?
A true story.
A love story.
Well...
Yes?
Yes?
Well, once there was a princess, and she fell in love.
Was it hard to do?
Oh, no, it was very easy. Anyone could see that the prince was charming. The only one for me.
Did he say he loved you? Did he steal a kiss, huh?
No.
No?
No. He was so romantic. I couldn't resist him.
Someday my prince will come. Someday I'll find my love, and I'll know him the moment we meet. For my heart will start skipping a beat. He'll whisper, I love you, and steal a kiss or two, and the birds will sing, and wedding bells will ring. Someday when my dreams
That's real pretty.
Oh, mush.
Oh, shut up, Grumpy.
Come on, fellers. Let's go to work.
Just whistle while you work. Put on that grin and and let's all begin to whistle loud and long. Now just hum a merry tune.
In the mornings, the little men went to the mountains to look for copper and gold, and in the evenings they came back, and then their supper had to be ready. Snow White was alone the whole day, but she was never lonely, for the birds and beasts of the forest kept her company. And the queen, meanwhile, believing the huntsman had brought her Snow White's heart, could not but think that she was again the first and most beautiful of all. And she went to the magic mirror and said,
Snow White lies dead in the forest. The huntsman has brought me proof. Behold in this jeweled casket her heart. Who now is the fairest one of all?
Snow White still lives, the fairest in the land. 'Tis the heart of a pig you hold in your hand.
The heart of a pig? Then I've been tricked. I'll go myself. I'll go to the dwarf's cottage myself in a disguise so complete no one will ever suspect. Now a formula to transform my beauty into ugliness. Change my queenly raiment to a peddler's cloak. Mummy dust to make me old. To shroud my clothes the black of night. To age my voice an old hag's cackle. To whiten my hair a scream of fright. Now to drink the evil mixture. Look! My hands! My voice! My voice! My voice! A perfect disguise. Now then, which of my magic formulae shall be the death of Snow White? Ah, this book of magic spells. Which shall it be? One taste of the poisoned apple, and the victim's eyes close forever in the sleeping death. But wait, there may be an antidote. Antidote. Poisoned apple, here it is. The victim of the sleeping death can be revived only by love's first kiss. Bah! No fear. The dwarfs will think she's dead. She'll be buried alive. Buried alive! All alone, my pet.
Why, yes, I am, but...
The little men are not here?
No, they're not.
Oh, making pies?
Yes, gooseberry pies.
It's apple pies that make the men folks' mouths water. Pies made from apples, like these.
Oh, they do look delicious.
Yes, but wait till you taste one, dearie.
Well, thank you, but I don't think...
Oh, this, my pretty one, is no ordinary apple. This is a wishing apple.
A what?
One bite, and all your dreams will come true.
No, I promised I wouldn't let anybody...
Oh, maybe there's someone you love.
Well, what if there is?
I thought so. Ha! Take the apple, dearie, and make your wish.
I wish...
That's it. Go on.
I wish that my prince will find me and carry me away to his castle, where we will live happily ever after.
Fine. Now, take a bite of the apple.
Why are you laughing at me? Oh, I feel strange.
Her breath will still. Her blood congeal. Now I'll be the fairest in the land.
The dwarfs, when they came home in the evening, found Snow White lying upon the ground. She breathed no longer and was dead. They lifted her up and laid her on a bier, and all 7 of them sat around it and wept for her, and wept 3 days long. Then they were going to bury her, but she still looked as if she were living, and still had her pretty red cheeks. They said, "We could not bury her in the dark ground." and they had a transparent coffin of glass made, and they laid her in it, and wrote her name on it in golden letters, and that she was a king's daughter. Then they put the coffin out upon the mountain, and one of them always stayed by it and watched it, and birds came too, and wept for Snow White. First an owl, then a raven, and last a dove. And now Snow White lay a long time in the coffin, and did not change, but looked as if she were asleep, for she was as white as snow, as red as blood, and her hair was as black as ebony. And at last one day, as the dwarfs were placing fresh flowers on Snow White's glass coffin,
Listen. What's that?
Be quiet. It's only somebody singing up the mountain.
But, ain't that the song Snow White said a prince used to sing? Maybe he heard about Snow White and decided to come and see her. What if he don't know? Who's going to tell him?
Darling, I found you at last.
He's kissing her. He don't know.
Well, tell him, Doc.
Hey, she's moving.
She's waking up.
Oh, darling, you were only sleeping after all.
Have I been sleeping long?
Forever, it seemed. Then I found the antidote for the old witch's poisoned apple. The first kiss of love.
The first kiss of love.
One love that has possessed me.
One love thrilling me through. One song my heart keeps singing. Of one
Snow White went away with the prince, and their wedding was held with great show and splendor. But Snow White's wicked stepmother was also bidden to the feast. When she had arrayed herself in beautiful clothes, she went before the looking-glass and said,
"Mirror, mirror on the wall, who is the fairest one of all?"
And the glass answered,
O queen, of all here the fairest art thou. But the young queen is fairer by far as I trow.
Then the wicked woman uttered a curse so dreadful that the mirror shattered into 1,000 pieces, and where the queen had stood was only a heap of ashes, from which black spiders crawled and scuttled off into the night. And Snow White and her prince lived a long, long time, and had all the happiness they wanted as long as they lived. The end.
Casablanca Wine joins the audience here in Hollywood in applauding Jane Powell for her performance in tonight's play on This Is My Best. In a few moments, Mr. Welles will be back to tell you about next week. If ever a man can justly feel he is master of the manor, it's when he sits at the head of his own table at dinner time and plays host to his family and friends. The gracious lady of the house aids and abets his feeling of pride when she adds some charming touch, like a Cresta Blanca table wine served with the meal. This excellent wine never fails to add a note of festivity to any occasion. And remember, the service of wine is a simple thing.
Just choose the wine you like best and serve it well chilled. It may be a red table wine, such as Cresta Blanca California Burgundy or Claret. Or it may be a white table wine, like Cresta Blanca California Sauterne. No matter which you choose, when you see the name Cresta Blanca on the bottle, you can be assured it is the crest of quality in wine since 1889. And now, Mr. Orson Welles.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And thanks to our lovely and very young singing star, Miss Jane Powell. And congratulations to Bill Days, sang Prince Charming. We're extra proud of the music of the Cresta Blanca Orchestra, arranged and conducted by Bernard Katz. He and his fine musicians deserve another good word, a very, very good word. Well, John McIntire, who's been bringing you Cresta Blanca's message on this program since it began, was the magic mirror. I'm sorry to say that he and Mrs. McIntire, otherwise known as Jeanette Nolan, are forsaking radio after tonight and going off to the wilderness to raise a family, and I suppose to write a novel. We're very sorry to see them go. Jeanette, by the way, played the Wicked Queen tonight. She was wonderful, as always. For the record, I think we ought to admit that in the tale as told by the Grimm brothers, from whom we borrowed pretty heavily tonight, there's a grisling closing sequence with some business by the Wicked Queen dancing at Snow White's wedding in red-hot shoes. Now, my daughter, Christopher, doesn't mind that sort of thing at all, but we thought we'd better censor it for the benefit of the grown-ups. As Mr. G.K. Chesterton once said so truly, children are innocent and love justice, while most of us are wicked and naturally prefer mercy. Before I tell you about next week's show, here's a brief but very urgent message. The Women's Army Corps needs at least 8,000 more women immediately for WAC hospital companies in this country. Women to free nurses for uninterrupted care and of the wounded by serving as medical and surgical technicians and medical stenographers. No previous experience is necessary to enlist, and you may choose a hospital near your home. Next week on This Is My Best, we bring you a very strong story by a very gifted American novelist, Mr. John Dos Passos. Don't miss it, please. I think we can promise you an unusual broadcast. Its title is pretty unusual, too. Number One. Figure it out for yourself. Till next week, then, until Number One, I remain, as always, obediently yours.
Our story was adapted for radio by Robert Tallman. Snow White was presented tonight by arrangement with Walt Disney, whose new production, The Three Caballeros, has just been released. Don't forget, next week, Orson Welles will star in his own radio production of John Dos Passos' exciting story, Number One. And remember, whenever you dine, dine with wine, and make it the best wine. Cresta Blanca. Cresta Blanca. Cresta Blanca. This Is My Best, prepared in collaboration with Whit Burnett, editor of the book This Is My Best, is a presentation of the Cresta Blanca Wine Company of Livermore, California, and came to you from Columbia's Playhouse in Hollywood. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
Good evening, this is Orson Welles, inviting you to listen now to one of the strangest stories ever told. The Diamond as Big as the Ritz, on Cresta Blanca's This Is My Best.
This is My Best, America's greatest stars in the world's best stories. Presented each week by Shenley's Cresta Blanca wine. Wine of friendly nature, pride of the vintner's art, symbol of hospitality, compliment to honored guest, a wine to serve proudly, saying, "This is my best. This is Cresta Blanca." Cresta Blanca. Cresta Blanca. Cresta Blanca.
Well, this is Orson Welles again, your producer. Women and radio producers reserve the right, if you don't mind, to change their minds. We said we'd have an unusual broadcast this week, and I don't think we'll break that promise, even though we have switched the story. Our leading lady is one of the easiest things you could find to look at in Hollywood. Sheila Ryan is the name. Phone number, unavailable, it says here. Our leading man is someone new, someone very good, too. He's been playing all kinds of parts lately on This Is My Best and doing so well by them that putting the words David Ellis in lights this week is a pleasure. Our story by F. Scott Fitzgerald is, as I warned you, one of the strangest ever told. Let's get on with it. Well, what you just heard was some music by Bernard Katz. If it sounded crazy, wait till you hear the rest of the show. I think that'd be enough of that. Let's start with the first scene. It takes place in Kizzy's Wonder Hamburger Hut. Let's have some music by the jukebox.
One hamburger, well done, no onions.
Burn one without.
Coming right up.
Hiya, Fred. Hiya, Kizzy.
Hey, hello, Mike.
Yeah,
we ain't seen you around here in ages. How are you?
Still driving the truck?
Yeah. They had me on the upstate hall for a couple of
One
weeks.
nut burger with melted cheese, mayonnaise, tomatoes, and peanut butter.
And onions.
With... Gotcha.
You remember the little girl I told you about, the one in Albany?
Yeah, with a butter.
Well, I made up my mind to propose to her.
Oh, that's swell.
This trip.
all right.
Yeah, I got the ring right here in my pocket. Yeah. Hey, what do you think of that? How's that for a diamond?
That's not bad. Not good, mind you, but not bad.
What do you mean, not bad? This rock set me back 500 fish.
I think it's a lovely ring. Don't pay any attention to what Fred says. It's the nicest diamond I ever saw.
The nicest diamond she ever saw. I'm surprised at you, Kizzy.
Oh, now, Fred, don't start telling Mike about us.
Why not?
Well, you know that nobody ever believes a word of it.
Nobody ever believes a word of what?
Well, I tell you, it's quite a story. Got a little time?
Yeah, I got a half an hour to kill. Let's hear it.
Well, I don't know whether I ever told you or not that John and me used to be barnstorming pilots, see? That's our pilot license there in that frame over the mirror.
Where do you keep your Dick Tracy badge and your Superman costume?
Oh, yeah? Well, wait till you hear this. One time, John and me was flying a plane for the state survey out in Montana. Yeah, it was some night. It sure was. We're flying blind, see? Through a thunderstorm. Survey fly to lookout. We're not picking up any beam. The compass is acting up. We're losing altitude. Hello, lookout. Are you picking up our signal? Hello?
It's no use, Fred.
Hello?
Fred, the radio's gone dead. Anyway, looks like we're pulling out of that thunderstorm.
Yeah, but look at that fuel gauge. And nothing below us but 10,000-foot peaks.
You're some navigator. Look at that strip down there. Runways and everything. Big enough to set down a fleet of B-29s.
But there's no such place, I tell you. Here on the map...
Put that map away. I'm gonna take her down.
But, John, I tell you, there's something screwy about this place. It's not on the map, I tell you.
You tell me. Hold on, Fred. We're gonna hit pretty hard.
All right.
You okay, Fred?
Yeah, I'm all right.
Good. Let's get out of here and find a telephone. Let's see. That road ought to be over this way, hadn't it?
Yeah, just over that rise.
Well, come on.
Hey, wait a minute. Listen.
What?
That music. Don't you hear it?
Radio playing somewhere. Must be a ranch house nearby.
No, we'd have seen it from the air.
Okay, they got the sagebrush wired for sound. Anyway, there's the road.
Hey, there's a car coming down it. Come on, let's flag it down.
Okay.
Hey, mister! Hey, wait! Hey, stop! Hey!
Hello. Hello there.
Mister, are we glad to see you?
What are you doing here?
We're flyers. We're forced down over there. Hey, whereabouts are we?
That'll take some explaining. Open the door, Ahmed. Get in.
Thanks. Hey, where you headed for?
That'll take still more explaining. Drive on, Ahmed.
Yes, master.
Gosh, what a beautiful car, huh?
This thing? Well, this is just an old junk heap we use for a station wagon.
With all that chromium?
You live near here?
Well, this is all my dad's property.
Private road, huh?
Mm-hmm. And so's that landing strip.
Oh. Well, maybe your father can let us have some gas to take off with, huh?
I don't know. Tell me, are you fellows rich?
Well, we don't have much cash on us, but I could put up this ring as security. It's a real diamond. Pretty big one, too.
That little chip?
Well, it's not the Hope diamond, but I can generally hawk it for around $500.
How big is the Hope diamond?
About the size of a walnut, I guess.
I thought it was supposed to be famous.
Well, it is. Diamonds don't come much bigger than that.
Huh? That's funny. My father has a diamond as big as the Ritz Hotel.
Percy.
Hello, Mama.
How charming. You brought some school friends home with you, no?
Well, not exactly. This is John...
Unger.
John Unger, Mama.
Welcome to Ormouth, Mr. Unger.
How do you do, ma'am?
And this is...
Fred Williams, co-pilot.
An aviator?
Why, sure.
Oh, Percy, no. Not more aviators.
I'm afraid so. Well, Mama, I thought maybe we wouldn't have to tell Daddy. Not right away.
Oh, good. We will keep it one big secret. You and me, Percy.
You and I.
You and I. Forgive me, gentlemen. Come in and meet my daughter, please. Kismin?
Kismin?
Yes, Percy. What is it, Mother? Oh.
Your brother has brought this charming young man to visit us.
School chums.
Yes, school chums.
Oh, well, I'm so glad. I was afraid they'd be aviators.
Kismin.
And we'd hardly had a chance to get acquainted before. Oh, I'm sorry, Mother. I didn't mean to say anything about it.
Well, she said she's sorry.
All right. This is John Unger, Kismin. And this is Mr.
Williams, babe. Fred Williams.
Kisman?
Yes. It is a peculiar name, isn't it?
Kisman. It's like this house. Like something out of the Arabian Nights.
Percy!
Yes, Mama.
Shut up.
I'm glad you like the house, and I hope that you'll be very happy here, John, because, you know, you'll have to stay here for a long, long time.
Good morning, sir. Are you ready for your bath, sir?
Yeah. What time is it?
11:30, sir. Oh, don't get up. I'll put you into the bathtub, sir. All right, here we go.
Hey, what's the big idea?
Oh, it's all automatic, sir. Just relax.
Of all the crazy gadgets. Dumps you right out of bed into the bathtub.
Is the water warm enough, sir?
Oh, yeah. Just right, thank you.
Shall I turn on the motion picture machine, sir? There's a Technicolor musical starring Miss Rita Hayworth. But I can put in a serious drama in a moment, if you'd prefer it.
Oh, no, thanks. Maybe a little music could be okay.
Yes, sir.
This is a life.
Miss Kisman sends word she would like to breakfast with you on the Emerald Terrace, if that's all right with you, sir.
It can't be true.
John.
I must be dreaming.
John, I gotta talk to you.
Go away, Fred.
There's something screwy about this joint, John. We gotta do something.
Imagine, the bed tilts up, the wall disappears, and you roll right into a tub.
Will you listen to me, John? Will you listen?
I'd rather listen to that beautiful music.
Music at a time like
Fred,
this.
Fred, watch this. You push a button.
Don't touch
and
it!
Presto!
Presto what?
Bubble bath.
Bubble bath.
Strawberry flavor, just like in the movies.
Will you stop acting like a drooling infant and be serious for a minute? They got guards all around here, John. Big gorillas with guns. Tommy guns. We're prisoners.
Prisoners?
Yeah. This is a regular jail.
Jail?
Yeah.
Well, all I can say is... I hope I rate a life sentence.
Good morning, John.
Hello, Kisman. My, that's a nice dress.
Well, there isn't much of it.
No, there isn't. You know, I was afraid last night was a dream, but you're still here. You and this wonderful house.
Oh, I'm so glad you're happy here.
Thanks. Say, That brother of yours has a pretty wild imagination, hasn't he?
Percy, what did he tell you?
Well, for one thing, he said your father owned a diamond as big as the Ritz Hotel.
Oh, that. Well, it's the mountain, you know.
What mountain? You mean there's a diamond mine back at the house?
No, not a mine. The mountain itself. It's solid diamond.
Solid diamond?
Yes. Daddy says it's the biggest diamond in the whole world.
Well, you don't seem very impressed with it.
Well, it makes things kind of embarrassing.
I wouldn't be ashamed about it.
Oh, we aren't. My sister Jasmine doesn't mind it at all. She even invited school friends here, but I don't think they knew about the diamond. But then we couldn't be sure. It worried Daddy terribly.
I bet it did. If everybody knew about it, all the diamonds in the world would become worthless, including yours.
I know. That's why Daddy can't afford to take any chances.
What do you mean?
Well, of course, Daddy just had to have them removed.
The diamonds?
No, the girls.
Removed?
Yes. Oh, what have I said? Now I've told you, and I shouldn't have.
Look, let's get this straight, shall we? You mean your father had those girls murdered, or what?
Yes, in August usually, or early September.
Hi. Well, I must be going crazy.
Oh, it doesn't make any difference, because it was done very nicely. Really, it was. They were drugged while they were asleep.
Yeah. Oh. Drugged while they were asleep. Do you know what you're saying?
Of course I do, and their families were always told that they died of scarlet fever.
And you kept on inviting them?
Oh, no, I didn't. My sister Jasmine did. Well, I never invited a one, but they always had a very good time. You know, she'd give them the nicest presents towards the last.
Your sister sounds like a close runner-up to Dracula.
Oh, I don't know her. Oh, you know, I should probably have visitors, too, though. I'll harden up to it. After all, we can't afford to let such an inevitable thing as death stand in the way of having friends, now can we? That's the way Daddy and Mother always looked at it.
You know what you are? Monsters.
A monster? How can you say such a thing? Why, my Daddy and Mama have sacrificed some of their best friends, just as we have.
And you even let me kiss you. You monster.
You didn't think that last night when you kissed me, did you?
If you haven't any more pride or decency than to kiss a man you know isn't much better than a corpse.
Oh, you're not. I won't have you saying that I kissed a corpse.
I said nothing of the sort.
You most certainly did. You said I kissed a corpse.
Here, what's all this? Who's saying it? Who kissed a what?
Oh, Father, when did you get back?
Kisman, go and find your sister. Go read. Go play golf. I want to have a talk with this young man.
Now, Daddy, remember, you promised that we could have them for the summer months.
For the last time, Kisman, go out of here. Go on now, do as I say.
Yes, Daddy. But I warn you. If you kill John, I'll kill myself.
Impetuous girl. Sit down, young man. Have a cigar.
Is it poisoned?
Oh, nothing so crude. No. I'll have to kill you, of course, but... Since my daughter seems to have grown so fond of you, Mr. Unsher, I tell you what, Mr. Unsher, I'll allow you to choose the method.
Unger.
Oh, okay.
With Sheila Ryan and David Ellis in featured roles, Cresta Blanca is bringing you Orson Welles' production of The Diamond as Big as the Ritz on This Is My Best. Fame is at best an unperforming cheat, but 'tis substantial happiness to eat. Thus does a well-known poet express himself on life and its practical side. You know the feeling of contentment you yourself experience after a good dinner. And when you've enjoyed a fine wine with a meal, you have added reason for satisfaction. For fine wines and fine foods are ideal dinner companions. And when the wine served with a meal is Cresta Blanca California Sauterne, you have dined well indeed. This excellent Sauterne is a distinctive dry wine of matchless character and delicious flavor. Alive with golden highlights, it has a delicate aroma all its own. Served with dinner, Cresta Blanca Sauterne is a compliment to your guests and adds extra zest to fine foods. It is especially delightful when served well chilled. You and your guests are sure to enjoy Cresta Blanca's Sauterne.
Okay, here we come now with part 2 of The Diamond as Big as the Ritz. Let's get back to the Wonder Hamburger Hut. Little jukebox music, if you please. Yeah, does it?
Well, so there we was, like I was telling you. Trapped, like rats in a trap. You get me?
All right, go on with his story. So this character, Braddock Washington, was going to bump you and Johnny off so you wouldn't shoot your mouth up about his having this diamond as big as the Ritz.
Natch. Because, look, if anybody knew there was that much diamond in the world all in one piece, it would spoil his racket. So I goes to see Johnny to have a heart-to-heart talk with him. Listen, John, I don't know about you, but me, I'm scramming out of this joint without any more further delay.
Fred, I'd like to go with you.
Well?
You and me have always been buddies, but this time I guess we've got to go our separate ways.
It's that dame, ain't it, huh? You're nuts about her.
Yeah. When I leave here, Fred, if I leave here, I'm taking her with me.
After him! He went that way! Take your men out by the west gate!
We'll go this way and head them off!
Phone the sentry station at the number 2 barrier. Tell them to hold their fire. If he refuses to halt, shoot and shoot to kill.
What's happened, sir?
Oh, that Williams fella, that co-pilot of yours, he's done something pretty foolish, I'm afraid.
Yeah, like trying to break out of this deluxe death cell of yours?
Oh, now look here, young fella. Would you like to see where I keep my other aviators?
Your other aviators?
Yeah. Hey, Percy.
Yes, Daddy.
Come on over here.
What is it, Daddy?
Well, I thought we might show him where we keep the aviators. Like to come along?
Oh, how splendid. Many new men in the cage, Daddy?
Yeah, one less than there ought to be, thanks to you.
Oh, I'm sorry, Daddy. I had no idea Williams would be such a rotter as to try to escape.
Well, of course, there's a chance that he may have fallen somewheres in the woods or stumbled off in a cliff.
A high cliff.
Yeah, a high cliff. And then there's always a comforting thought that if he did get away, his story wouldn't be believed. Here we are, Unger.
What is it?
Switch on the lights, Percy.
Yes, Daddy.
Here we are.
Good Lord in heaven.
Shaped like a bowl, as you can see, and cut into solid diamond of the mountain. The polished walls is too slippery to climb and too hard to tunnel through effectively.
Poor devils.
They aren't too bad off. I come down and talk with them nearly every day. Hi today, fellas. Have you thought up a way out of your difficulty?
Let us out of this hole and we'll find us a way.
Well, man, I've told you the situation. Anytime you can think up a way out which protects me and my interests, I'll be glad to consider it.
I don't suppose a man's word of honor would mean anything to a guy like you.
Oh, now, come on. That's a kind of foolish question. Is that the best you can do?
Is this the best you can do?
Well, I've offered to have your wives and sweethearts, your children, and mothers brought out here. I'll enlarge your quarters down there and feed and clothe you pretty adequately the rest of your lives. What more can I do?
That's a good one. He offers to put our families in jail to favor us.
Turn off the light, Percy. They're beginning to bore me.
Yes, Daddy.
Well, Unger, you beginning to count your blessings?
You're darn right I am. From now on, I've got only one ambition in life. To escape from this place and come back to rescue these men.
Yeah, if that should happen, I've only to press a little button here, and this place will be blown to smithereens. At all events, you're not going to be the one to bring that about.
What makes you so sure of that?
Because, young fella, you was a fool. Because you was in love with my little old daughter.
John, wake up, John.
Who is it? Oh, it's you, Mrs. Washington. It's a nice dress you have on.
Well, it's on backwards. I was in a hurry.
Oh.
Shh. Don't make a sound. Listen closely to what I have to say. My husband intends to have you murdered tonight.
Tonight?
Yes, tonight in your sleep.
But I'm awake.
Well, you can go back to sleep again, can't you?
Yeah, that's true.
I know I have no right to interfere with your plans, but Kismin loves you. For her sake, I'm going to help you get away.
She knows the risk? She's willing to go with me?
Yes. She's waiting now at the West Gate. I've bribed all the house guards with my own money. $3 million. I'm ruined. No matter. We still have the diamond. So, go now. Go quickly.
darling. I knew you'd come to me. Oh, darling, dearest, we're going to be free.
Kisman, my sweet.
Oh, we haven't much time. We'd better get started.
You know the way?
Yes. Come on, we must hurry.
Not so fast, my purties. Guards, hold them. Hold on to them tight, both of them.
Yes, master.
Put them in irons, master.
Just hold them there in the light for a minute. I want to get a good look at them.
You wouldn't do anything to her.
I'm going to kill her. I'm going to kill both of you. Stand them over there against the wall. Hold the light on them.
Daddy, have you lost your head?
One nice, neat little bullet hole. One each. Through the heart. Romeo and Juliet, modern dress, you know.
Master, look up! Planes!
Flying machines? Sound the alarm. See that all the anti-aircraft batteries is manned. Orders are to start firing at once.
Yes, master.
You go and wake Miss Washington and Miss Jamie. See that they're looked after.
Yes, master.
Ah, what a pity. I suppose you lovebirds thought you were saved. Well, you ain't. Got one already. That'll teach you to come snooping. Go after them. Bring them down. Bring down the others. I'll teach them to come snooping around here. Shoot them down, I say.
Uh-oh, that's a bomb.
By golly, it was.
They're fighting back, Mr. Washington. For once, someone's fighting back.
Are them bombs? They can't drop their bombs around here. This is private property. Hey, you up there. This here's private property. Hear me? This is private property.
Look at it down there, our beautiful house, and it's blown to bits.
Wonder if anyone besides us got away from there alive.
Oh, please don't talk about it.
Listen. What's that?
Drums. Drums across the valley. Look, two of the slaves, they're carrying torches.
It looks like a procession of some sort.
It's the Almost Diamond, the big one. They're dragging it up the mountain, but why?
There's your father now, going up ahead of them. What on earth?
What's he doing now?
I don't know. Looks as if he's praying.
You!
Praying?
Listen.
You out there! You there! Oh, you above there! Look down! Behold! This here gem! The greatest treasure of all the ages! Greater than the sum total of all the world's wealth! This I offer you!
What is he saying? What does it mean?
He's offering a bribe. A bribe to...
Oh, no, don't say it.
Let the heavens but open up to swallow these intruders and their flying machines. Let me have my slaves once more, alive and well, to rebuild my mountain, my house, my kingdom. Well, what about it?
There's your answer, Braddock Washington. They don't want your diamond up there.
Oh, I can't watch anymore. What are they doing now?
Started back down the mountain, motioning the slaves to follow him. Oh, wait. They're stopping again. Slaves are tugging at something in the face of the mountain.
No,
It's a trap door. They're opening it up.
No, but they mustn't go in there.
Must be the entrance to the mine. They're filing in now, one by one. Close the door after them.
Oh, but that door, it's wired. There's a timing mechanism to set off the explosive in the mountain.
How long before?
15 seconds, I think Daddy used to say.
3 seconds to go. 2. 1.
Hey, Joe, hold the grass on that egg salad. So, oh yeah, as I was saying. And there went the biggest diamond in the world, blown to kingdom come, and that Braddock Washington with it.
And that explains why that diamond ain't there now, huh?
Yeah.
You know what I think? I think it ain't there because there never was such a thing.
Mike, it hurts me to have you doubt my word like this. It hurts me to the quick.
You know why I don't believe that story?
No, why?
Because no woman would leave a joint like that without taking a few of the rocks with her.
Oh, but I did.
Yeah, see?
I brought a whole bag full of them.
Yeah.
Yeah? Where are they now?
Here. You see?
Jumping Jehoshaphat. What a collection of rocks. Hey, why don't you turn them into cash? I mean, you could start a chain of hamburger joints.
Oh, but they aren't diamonds.
What are they?
They're rhinestones. I brought them because I thought they were prettier. John was terribly angry with me.
Kizzy!
Yes, John?
Look at this order of scrambled eggs, will you? It's getting cold.
Yes, dear. I was just showing Mike our jewels.
Shenley's Cresta Blanca wine joins the audience here in Hollywood in applauding Sheila Ryan and David Ellis for their performances in tonight's play on This Is My Best. In a few moments, Mr. Wells will be back to tell you about next week. There are just two things to remember in serving wine. First, choose the wine you like best and serve it well chilled. You may prefer a red table wine like Cresta Blanca California Burgundy or Claret, or a white table wine such as Cresta Blanca California Sauterne. No matter which you choose, when you see the words Cresta Blanca on the bottle, you can be assured you have chosen the crest of quality in wine since 1889. Now, here is Orson Welles.
Thank you. Thank you, Miss Ryan and Mr. Ellis. Next week, we bring you, ladies and gentlemen, another strange story. This time without any big diamonds in it. A triangle. Takes place in the oddest section of Scotland you can think of, and it was written by one of the most talented of all Scotsmen, Mr. Robert Louis Stevenson. The title, The Master of Ballantrae. Please join us. Till then, I remain, as always, obediently yours.
Sheila Ryan may soon be seen in the 20th Century Fox 30th anniversary production, Caribbean Mystery. Our musical score was composed and conducted by Bernard Katz. Our story was adapted for radio by Robert Tallman. Don't forget, next week, Orson Welles will star in a radio adaptation of Robert Louis Stevenson's great story, Master of Ballantrae. And remember, whenever you dine, dine with wine, and make it the best wine. Cresta Blanca. Cresta Blanca. Cresta Blanca. This Is My Best, prepared in collaboration with Whit Burnett, editor of the book This Is My Best, is a presentation of the Cresta Blanca Wine Company of Livermore, California, and came to you from Columbia's Playhouse in Hollywood. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
Good evening. This is Orson Welles, inviting you to listen to Stevenson's Master of Ballantrae on Cresta Blanca's This Is My Best.
This is My Best, America's greatest stars in the world's best stories. Presented each week by Shenley's Cresta Blanca wine. Wine of friendly nature. Pride of the vintner's art. Symbol of hospitality. Compliment to honored guest. A wine to serve proudly, saying, "This is my best. This is Cresta Blanca." Cresta Blanca. Cresta Blanca. Cresta Blanca. Now, here is our producer, Mr. Orson Welles.
Well, we have a great cast tonight on This Is My Best, a real Mercury cast. Agnes Moorehead, Ray Collins, and Alan Napier, who, with your obedient servant, will bring you now The Master of Ballantrae. The scene is Scotland, a strange part of it, a place of barren moors, within earshot of the thunderous surf that beats savagely in all weather on the rocky Solway shore.
Twa dories in Doris, dear. Een to tie and een to ride. An ill day for the groom and a war day for the bride.
for the groom and a war day for the bride. I was the bride of my Lord of Durrisdeer. I, Alison Graham, and it fell to me to play a part in the fulfillment of that bitter prophecy. At the start of the wars, on that fateful winter's night in the year 1745, the old laird, Mr. Henry, myself, and Jamie, the handsome young master of Ballantrae, were gathered in the great hall to decide a matter of grave import.
I will have none of it, I tell you, I will have none of it. Twill do Scotland no manner of good if the lost sons of our line go off to war. Mayhap to die in battle, and leaving no heirs to carry on the name of Durrisdeer.
Let Henry bide at home, then.
Nay, father, we dinna listen to him. He's no Durrisdeer with his fine continental manners.
I am the direct heir of Durrisdeer.
Well, what say you to this, Mistress Alison?
I don't trust my judgment in this matter, my lord, for I've given my heart to Master Jamie, as you know, and would keep him here if I could.
Put an end to it. Here's a guinea piece. Will you stand by the toss of a coin, Henry?
Aye, I'll stand and far by it. Heads a go, shield a stay.
Shield. Henry will sit by the knitting, where he belongs.
If you were not my elder brother and Miss Alison not present...
Henry!
Aye, father.
'Tis a pity you're so anxious to be off to the wars, Jamie.
I confess 'twill be a relief to get free of this dismal moor for a time.
There is nothing here that would make you want to stay?
Only you, my precious. But you'll keep.
And so it was Jamie rode away to the north, which was the more sorrowful for us to remember when it seemed too late. For the rebellion was a lost cause from the start, and included in the news of the rebels' defeat was the news of the death of my intended husband, the master of Ballantrae. As soon as the old lord received the news, he called Mr. Henry to his side.
Henry, I still hae one son, and I'll do you this justice. It is the kinder of the two that is left.
Thank you, father.
Henry, have you no tears to shed for the brother you betrayed?
Betrayed, lass?
He was betrayed by all of us. I, too, sent him off with a harsh word.
Alison, even in death he stands between us.
Henry.
Jamie won't ever die. He's still the master of Ballantrae.
He spoke truer than he knew. Some 8 years after that, it happened that Angus McKellar, the good and faithful steward of our house, while walking along the rocky Solway shore one afternoon, espied a stranger on the edge of Craighead.
Hello there. Here, my good man. Here are some things for Durrisdeer.
Durrisdeer? My master said nothing of expecting a visitor from abroad.
Oh, you don't know me, my friend. I know your name and nickname. Come now. We'll miss out on supper at the hall. Mr. Henry will have something besides cold mutton on the board, I trust. Or is he still as stingy as of old?
You, Jamie! I didn't know you with your London speech. You're the master.
Right, McKellar, the master of Ballantrae.
In the name of heaven, what brings you here? If the king's men learn of it, you'll surely be hanged, Master Jamie. It's the fate of all who fought with the rebels.
I'll warrant my brother would not be sorry to see me hang if it were not for the disgrace it'd bring on the family.
Oh, no, Master James. Your brother has been more than loyal to you. He has borne the disapproval of his father, the alienation of his wife, all on your account.
It's no secret, I dare say, that if Miss Alison had known I were alive, she'd have never married Henry.
Well, it's not for me to speak, my lord. But this I'm sure of. We can all rely on your discretion.
Oh, have no fear of that, McKellar. I'll be very discreet.
You shouldn't have come back, Jamie. I wish you hadn't.
Are you like Henry? Do you wish I were truly dead?
Jamie, don't say such things.
How could you have married him? He was never for you.
He loved me, Jamie.
I thought he needed me.
He's taken my name, my birthright, my intended wife. But what you feel for me deep down in your heart, he can't take that, can he? Allison, answer me.
No, he can't take that. Heaven help me. I still love you, Jamie.
It fell dark and still and starless and exceeding cold, a night the most unseasonable, fit for strange events. I will leave their description to one who saw them at first hand. A full account is to be found in the private journal of our good steward, McKellar.
January 27th, 1757. May God have mercy on this house. We hae set ourselves to pass the evening wi' a game of cards. The master of Ballantrae, Mr. Henry, and myself. 12 was already gone some time upon the clock, and the servants long ago in bed.
Master Henry, it is yours to play. You know, it's a very strange thing how even in a game of cards, you display your rusticity. You play, Jacob, like a bonnet lad or a sailor in a tavern. The same dullness, the same petty greed.
Mr. Henry continued to look at his cards as though very maturely considering some play, but his mind was elsewhere.
You know, my dear Henry, with all those solid qualities which I delight to recognize in you, I never knew a woman who did not prefer me. Nor, I think, who did not continue to prefer me.
You coward. Mr. Henry laid down his cards. He rose to his feet very softly and seemed all the while like a person in deep thought. Then, with neither hurry nor any particular violence, he struck the master in the mouth.
A blow? I would not take a blow from God Almighty.
Gentlemen!
Do you know what this means?
Aye. It was the most deliberate act of my life.
I must have blood. I must have blood for this.
Please, God, it shall be yours. There are swords on the wall there. Take them down, McKellar, and see that we play fair. I think it better needful.
A steward here can bring a pair of candles. There is no breath of air.
I took up the candlesticks and went before them, forth from the house. It was as he said. There was no breath stirring. A windless stricture of frost had boned the air, and as we went forth in the light of the candles, the blackness was like a roof over our heads. Ne'er a word was said. There was ne'er a sound but the creeping of our steps along the frozen path.
Here is the place. Set down the candles.
I did as he bid me, and presently the flames went up as steady as in a chamber in the midst of the frosted trees. And I beheld these two brothers take their places.
The light is something in my eyes.
I will give you every advantage, but I think you're about to die.
Henry Dury, if you fall, I shift out of this country to where my money is before me. If I fall, where are you? My father, your wife, who's in love with me, as you very well know, your child who prefers me, how these will avenge me. Had you thought of that, dear Henry?
He looked at his brother with a smile, then made a fencing-room salute. Never a word, said Mr. Henry, but saluted too, and their swords rang together. I am no judge of the play, but it seems that Mr. Henry took and kept the upper hand from the engagement. It is past doubt the master recognized himself as lost, and had some taste of the cold agony of fear, or he had ne'er attempted the foul stroke. He caught his brother's blade with his left hand, a practice not permitted. Mr. Henry only saved himself by leaping on one side. The master lunging, stumbled on his knee, and before he could move, the sword was through his body. He writhed a moment like a trodden worm, and then lay motionless. It was no hour for scruples. I ran back to the house and opened my lady's door without so much as a knock, and I passed boldly in.
There is some calamity happened.
Madam, if you cannot be very helpful, I must go elsewhere, for if no one helps me tonight, there's an end of the house of Durrisdeer. It has come to a duel.
In the name of mercy, McIntire, what's wrong?
You're not fit to hear. Whatever it was, you shall say first it was your fault.
Oh, can you not put me out of your thoughts?
I think not once of you. I think of none but my poor, dear, unhappy master.
What of my lord?
Go to him now where he sits in the hall. Speak to him. It matters not what you say. Give him your hand and say, I know all. And if God gives you grace enough, say, forgive me.
Oh, God strengthen you and make you merciful. I will go to my husband.
I groped my way downstairs and out the door. Outside, I heard the sound of oars, of muffled oars, very guardedly rowing in the bay. I reached the place. My heart thumped upon my ribs. The hair stirred upon my scalp. I listened till my ears ached. But the night was hollow about me like an empty church. There was the blood stain, and a little further off, Mr. Henry's sword.
McIntire!
It's gone. What? Why are you here?
It's gone! What's gone?
The master of Ballantrae. The body has disappeared.
With Agnes Moorehead, Ray Collins, and Alan Napier, Cresta Blanca is bringing you Orson Welles' production of The Master of Ballantrae on This Is My Best. Great welcome makes a merry feast. The immortal Shakespeare said it, and how true it is. For haven't you noticed that in the house where everyone is made to feel welcome, a gracious hostess always adds some extra touch of hospitality to make the meal a feast? She serves a fine wine with dinner, a fine wine like Cresta Blanca California Sauterne. This golden wine seems to say to every guest, welcome. We're so glad you could come. Ah, but this excellent Sauterne does much more than add a gracious air of welcome to the occasion. Its delicious flavor always adds extra zest to the fine food you serve. It has a delicate aroma, a matchless character all its own. You will especially enjoy Cresta Blanca Sauterne when you serve it well chilled. Now here is part 2 of The Master of Ballantrae.
It was a cold, sunny morning with a thick white frost when next we heard of the Master of Ballantrae. The blackbird sang exceeding sweet and loud about the house of Durrisdeer, and there was a noise of the sea in all the chambers. In the great hall the shutters were still closed, and in the chimney sat a man in cloak and boots. He did not look up till I was nearly upon him.
So, it's you, my sweet.
You've dared to come back to this house.
Surprised to see me?
Henry said we'd never see the last of you.
No more, will you? I'm home to stay.
What do you want this time?
I'm weary of traveling, lass. Have you no welcome for me in your heart?
All's changed here now, Jamie. Your father is no more, and Henry's Lord Durrisdeer.
I'm still the same, Alison.
No, you're not the same, Jamie. You're getting an old man.
If you could see yourself, you'd perhaps nay dwell on the topic, my lady. How does the world go with you?
I have undone what I could of the injustice I've done to Henry. He has all my love now.
So now he has that, too. And I'll not let him have the better of me, mark my words. This time there'll be no duel with swords. I grow old, as you justly remark, Allison. I play a slower, steadier hand.
Look at him out there.
Henry.
Look at him, poisoning my son's mind against me. It's not enough he's taken over Doris Deer. He'll have my son as well.
Henry, why do we stay on here in this house at all? Come, let's make up our packet secretly today. The first ship that sails shall bear us to the New World.
Aye, Allison. We'll go to America. But I'll not leave him lord and master here.
Oh, Henry, there is no room in your heart anymore for anything save your hatred for Jamie.
McKellar shall continue on at the hall, and not one farthing shall be paid to the master of Ballantrae. Do you hear me, Allison? Not one farthing.
Before dawn the next morning, we slipped out of the side postern into a night of darkness, scarce broken by a star or two. And so, at last, we were gone indeed, having looked our last on the kind roof of Doris Deer, our faces toward the barbarous country of America.
Good morning, McKellar. How's old Petticoats? A small breakfast party this morning?
This is the party to which we must grow accustomed, Master Jamie. My lord, my lady, and the children are gone upon a voyage.
Tell me the details of the evasion.
I have no orders to communicate their destination.
But I will tell you, my dear old Petticoats, they have scuttled off to the province of New York, where my lady, it appears, is the heiress of a plantation.
No, now
I'll follow them, McKellar, and you'll come with me. I may be poor and penniless, but I'll follow them. And when I've run my quarry down, I'll drive a wedge into that family that shall once more burst it into shivers.
February 23rd, 1763. America. The public disgrace of Jamie's arrival here, all penniless, rankles in his bones. In a poor quarter of the town, above a wretched hovel, is hung a placard which reads, James Dury, formerly master of Ballantrae, clothes neatly clouted. And underneath this, when he has a job, my brother-in-law sits busily stitching. The sometime heir of a proud family, set up cross-legged in public, for a reproach upon his brother's meanness.
My good man, have you no finished mending my breeches yet?
Have a heart, Henry. Have a heart. Do not take your custom elsewhere. I need it, I'll be frank with you. I have not eaten these 3 days. This is no pose any longer. I really need your custom.
Henry, this is no manner of behavior to flaunt your hatred thus.
Allison. So you still have a heart?
Not for you, Jamie. It's Henry I'm thinking of. It's not good for him.
What's not good for me, my dear? Hatred? I grow fat upon it.
And so it was Jamie. It was Jamie this time who packed up and fled. Where to? We had no word. Not for some months. And then...
My lord and lady, I have the painful duty to inform you that the master is dead.
Dead? I don't believe it.
Aye, my lord, dead he is. Dead in the wilderness. I myself buried him.
Where?
What did he pretend to die of?
Why, he just seemed to sicken, me lord. Just passed away back there in the forest.
There it is. You see, Allison, he's not dead at all. He couldn't be.
But good heavens, master. The man's buried.
I won't believe it till I see it for myself. Do you hear me? Not till I see it for myself.
My poor, distracted husband came upon his brother's grave. None of us could stop him.
I won't believe it. I'll dig him up and see. I won't believe it. He's been dead before and come back to torture us alive again. I won't believe it till I see.
We couldn't stop him. Poor Jamie's body was torn out of its grave. A still night it was, and the moon not yet set. The corpse seemed almost.
He lives! He lives!
Oh, my dear, you're beside yourself.
I saw his eyelids flutter. I saw him look at me. With those eyes of his. He looked at me. I knew it. He's outlived me. He's outlived me.
I am the resurrection and the life, saith the Lord. He that believeth in me, though he were dead, yet shall he live. And whosoever liveth and believeth in me.
My Lord of Durrisdeer died in my arms. The two were taken back together to the city. The two brothers. Faithful old McKellar, seeing to everything.
With your permission, ma'am, I've penned this epitaph for them. Will you read it, please?
Here lies the body of James Durrisdeer, heir to a Scottish title, a master of the arts and graces, admired in Europe, Asia, America, in war and peace, in the tents of savage hunters and the citadels of kings. After so much acquired, accomplished, and endured, lies here forgotten. Read out the rest to me.
Here also lies Henry Durrisdeer, his brother, after a life of unmerited distress, bravely supported, died almost in the same hour, and sleeps in the same grave with his fraternal enemy.
The piety of his wife and an old servant raised this stone to both.
Shenley's Cresta Blanca wine joins the audience here in Hollywood in applauding Agnes Moorehead, Ray Collins, and Alan Napier on tonight's play in This Is My Best. In a few moments, Mr. Wells will be back to tell you about next week. Gracious hospitality has long been a cherished American tradition. And an important part of that tradition has been the serving of a fine wine with fine food, a fine Cresta Blanca table wine. It always adds a gala air to even simple family meals. The next time you invite friends for dinner, plan to serve this excellent table wine with dinner. Then notice how conversation sparkles and how everyone soon feels at home. And remember, the service of wine is simple. Just choose the wine you like the best and serve it well chilled. It may be a red table wine like Cresta Blanca, California Burgundy, or Claret, or a white table wine such as Cresta Blanca California Sauterne. When the name Cresta Blanca is on the bottle, you can rest assured you have chosen the crest of quality in wines since 1889. Now, Mr. Orson Welles.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Before I tell you about next week's show, here's an important announcement. This month, we're all being asked to contribute to the United National Clothing Collection Drive. So search your attics, trunks, closets, cellars, and other storage places for garments to send to the millions of men, women, and children in war-devastated areas. This is not a charity drive, but a patriotic appeal to help those whose need arises from the destruction brought on by the war. And now just a word about the show next Tuesday. It's called Don't Catch Me, and it's a screwball comedy if you ever heard one. The leading lady is, I think I can go right out on a limb and say that I think she's my favorite actress in all the world. After a great deal of trouble, we finally succeeded in getting her on this program. It is with no little pride that I give you her name. I hope I can pronounce it right, Miss Rita Hayworth. So, please do join us next week and hear Rita and your obedient servant, and believe me, her obedient servant, in what I think you'll enjoy, a pretty cute show. Please be our guests until then. Until next Tuesday, I remain, as always, obediently yours.
Our musical score was composed and conducted by Bernard Katz. Our story was adapted for radio by Robert Tallman. Agnes Moorehead appeared through the courtesy of Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer and may soon be seen in the newly released picture, Keep Your Powder Dry. Don't forget, next week, Orson Welles and Rita Hayworth will star in a radio adaptation of Don't Catch Me by Richard Powell. And remember, whenever you dine with wine, and make it the best wine. Cresta Blanca. Cresta Blanca. Cresta Blanca. This Is My Best, prepared in collaboration with Whit Burnett, editor of the book This Is My Best, is a presentation of the Cresta Blanca Wine Company of Livermore, California, and came to you from Columbia's Playhouse in Hollywood. Vern Smith speaking. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System. Now listen to This Is My Best. Presented each week by Shenley's Cresta Blanca wine. Wine of friendly nature. Pride of the vintner's art. Symbol of hospitality. Compliment to honored guest. A wine to serve proudly, saying, This is my best. This is Cresta Blanca. Cresta Blanca. Cresta Blanca. Cresta Blanca. Tonight, Cresta Blanca Wine, sponsor of This Is My Best, departs from its usual series of dramatic presentation of the world's great stories to bring you this special broadcast in keeping with the events of the times. Written by Milton Geiger and titled, I Will Not Go Back. And now, our producer.
This is Orson Welles. Last week, an American president fell in the midst of battle. This radio program is dedicated to the American future he so greatly served, and to the new president who has taken over that high service. 6 weeks before he died, Mr. Roosevelt wrote me these words. April will be a critical month in the history of human freedom. It will see the meeting in San Francisco of a great conference of the United Nations. The nations united in this war against tyranny and militarism. At that conference, The peoples of the world will decide through their representatives, and in response to their will, whether or not the best hope for peace the world has ever had will be realized. Discussions by the people of this country and by the peoples of the freedom-loving world of the proposals which will be considered at San Francisco are necessary, are indeed essential, as the purpose of the people to make peace and to keep peace is to be expressed in action. I've quoted in part from Mr. Roosevelt's last letter to me. Tonight's broadcast is one of those discussions he felt we ought to have. It's a broad and general discussion without technicalities or politics. It deals with somebody called man, with his age-long preparation for April 25th, 1945, with his high task, which is the keeping of peace on earth, in justice and in decency, for all time. Over the concrete and the steel, astride the mills and factories, the temples and the farms, the thunderous commerce of the cities, the oceans and the rivers to the oceans, over the hills, the mountains, and the valleys of earth, over the fervent hush of the hopeful peoples, watches a spirit.
I will not go back.
Out of the mists of time, out of the ancient yesterday, the Spirit came.
Out of the mists of time, out of the ooze and slime, out of the dreadful dawning, out of the dim, wet morning of the earth, I came, and I will not go back. Now the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep.
In the beginning was the land, untenanted, and there was the restless, immemorial sea. There was the empty sky and silence. Time stood speechless among the blank and silent days. There was the infinite, there was eternity, and there was a plan and reason. There was God. And then in the scheme of time, the sea that thundered on the Azoic shores sheltered a living jelly. In the dim pools where the tidal waters gathered under the lifeless rocks, something lived. Something swam and squirmed and grew and multiplied, elaborated, evolved. And after the unthinkable deliberation of the centuries, 1,000 times compounded, crept out of the sea. And this was the beginning of the plan. Could it be man?
Man.
And that was the second day. The rank, proliferating earth misty and steaming, swarmed with a monstrous progeny. Dragons dwelt on the reeking earth and had their moment in the scheme of time. Then back to the ooze that spawned them went the armored giants. Power and brute force weren't enough. Armor and sinew and the cruel slashing jaws had failed. The monsters went back.
I will not go back.
The third day passed, the fourth, the fifth. How many million years?
And I was a bent and hairy thing, savage and witless, fleeing through jungle trees, living my mindless life, fighting my endless strife, mating and dying, beating my shaggy chest, dancing in moonlight glades with my brute brethren, howling the moon, ape that I was.
Then, something happened.
I stood in a moonlit glade, brute like the others, and lifted myself on my knuckles, groaning and straining. I lifted myself.
And the moons came endlessly, and endlessly went the moons. And the dark procession of the ages witnessed the dim yearning of the creature to be more than creature.
Then I stood up.
The creature stood up, and the jungle rocked and shuddered to his roar and to the thunder of his fists upon his hairy breast, till his comrades bared their yellow fangs and growled, for they knew now that he was neither kin nor comrade to them, now or evermore.
Stooped and abysmal, I hid in the hostile earth, fighting and fleeing, more hunted than hunting, trailing the giant beaver, clothing my nakedness. I followed the saber-toothed tiger, taking for mine what was left of his kill, for the jungle was close, but I would not go back. I would not. I will not. I will not go back.
The flash of bronze was in the wilderness then. The rawhide bowstring and the singing arrow strummed the ascendancy of man among the creatures. The great race moved across the yielding earth, wielding its fire, brandishing the spear and the shepherd's crook. And some forgotten genius learned to speak with symbols carved on wood, on stone, on ivory, on bone.
I wrote.
Someone laid a shell upon the water and spread skins and hides before the wind and put a flat stick into the tide.
I sailed the deep waters.
He hewed the rock and lifted stone on stone and fashioned wood above his head.
I built.
And man looked up at the stars and at the wheeling sun and fell upon his knees. For in his groping brain kindled the fearful knowledge of the plan. And the one who planned. His bronze became steel, but his weapons lifted against the jungle were lifted also against his kind. And lo, the blood of man ran in rivers to the sea. Thus it was written. And it came to pass, when they were in the field, that Cain rose up against Abel his brother, and slew him. And the Lord said unto Cain, Where is Abel thy brother? And he said,
I know not. Am I my brother's keeper?
And he said, What hast thou done? The voice of thy brother's blood crieth unto me from the ground. Aye, for all his building and his bronze, his ivory and steel. The jungle was close.
I will not go back.
In the desert, as it is written, a prophet went up upon the heights, where thunders and lightnings sprang from the awful sky, and a great voice had utterance among the canyons and the crags and palisades of Sinai.
Thou shalt not kill. Thou shalt not steal. Thou shalt not covet.
The word came down, and the laws were 10. And this was the law for the children of men. And Moses the prophet came down from the mount, and so it was. So it is written. Until yet another set his gentle spirit and his voice against the ready jungle. Yet another spoke for the goodness and the glory and the immortality of man. The pilot of the Galilean lake, they said. The Nazarene, they called him. And he spoke, and the jungle recoiled again. Yet man bred tyrants into the earth.
Nero. Caligula. The Inquisition.
Tyrants and pain and blood. The jungle, no less.
I will not go back.
A council of men forced liberty from one tyrant.
The Magna Carta.
A handful of free men crossed a perilous ocean to be free. Another handful dared an empire. A horseman rode from Charleston to Lexington, and farmers' muskets spoke that April day for freedom.
We hold these truths to be self-evident.
They are self-evident.
That all men are created equal.
All men are equal.
That they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights.
Rights.
That among them are life, liberty,
and the pursuit of happiness.
Out of the wilderness I came, beast into man. My flint and my bronze and my bones are scattered over the earth. I am Plato and Socrates, Michelangelo, Galileo, Beethoven, Shakespeare, Dante, Newton, Lincoln. Confucius has taught his simple goodness in my time. Buddha has rested beneath his tree. Mohammed has journeyed to the mountain. The Nazarene has died for me. Warriors have fallen and saints have risen in my time. I have charted the oceans and the continents. I have measured the firmament and have drawn closer to it on recent wings. I fly. I rhyme and reason. I write my music and my words on space itself. I have conquered the plagues and the fevers of the body and the fevers of the mind and of the spirit. My neck is limber now. My back is straight. I do not shuffle and look downward like the wild beast. I look up at the stars and into the face of my fellow man, and I will not go back.
Well, let's see. He flies, man does. He computes, he rhymes, he reasons. So he does indeed. He rhymes.
In the spring, a livelier iris changes in the burnished dove. In the spring, a young man's fancy lightly turns to thoughts of love.
That's very pretty. Do you know any more of it?
That's about all. I only know that because I had to learn it. And after all, it is spring.
Oh, yes, so it is. Lovely yellow April. Time now for love. For whom did it say?
Young men, it says. Why?
To be sure, young men. Young men capable of bearing arms, usually. Oh, you there, soldier. Soldier of the world.
Aye, sir?
Do you mind if I interview you briefly?
No, sir, I don't mind.
Well, then tell us, how long have you been in the Army?
Quite a while, sir. Long time.
Seen any action?
Normandy, sir.
Tell me, have you ever been in love?
What?
In love?
In love?
Have you?
No, sir.
What, a young man and a soldier? Oh, come on now.
That's right, sir. You see, I got mine early.
Got yours early?
A bullet through the heart. You don't get much chance to get to like a girl when it happens that soon. No, I wouldn't say I've ever been in love. What's it like, son?
Well, you see, son...
I had a girl once, and I was just beginning maybe to get interest in her when... Nothing.
Tell me, boy, how did it happen?
Normandy, like I said. It was a bullet.
Oh, yes.
I'm still out there, lying in a field. Maybe someday a French farmer putting in his crops in spring will... Spring. In the spring, a young man's fancy. It is spring, isn't it?
It's April.
April. So what?
Don't feel that way about it, please.
I don't feel what way? I don't feel any way about it. Nothing ever happened to me in my life to feel that way about. The bullet came too soon for me. Did you want to ask me anything else, sir?
No, thanks.
I'll be getting on then. So long, sir.
So long.
Oh,
Yes, son.
one more thing, sir. Why did it have to happen to me?
Why did it have to happen to any of you?
I don't know. I'm asking you.
I don't know why it had to happen. Fools and loudmouths and grabbers and stealers and killers and haters and better-than-thous and rabble-rousers and snide hypocrites crying, our country in the name of treason, and the many scorning the few, and God alone knows all the rest. I don't know why you had to pay for it. But we're trying to find out. See that it never happens again.
What are you doing about it? Just asking, that's all.
Well, the representatives of 38 United Nations are going to meet in San Francisco. They're going to find some way of settling international differences without going to war again. They're going to try to settle things in court like rational people, instead of going outside on the sidewalk to settle it with fists and brickbats. It's the general scheme of San Francisco.
Uh-huh. Well, we'll see. Goodbye, sir.
Goodbye, soldier. God forever bless you.
Thank you, sir. Goodbye.
Well, spirit over the world, what about that? What about it? What about young men like that all over this whole wide, beautiful, ravaged, scorched, infected, sun-washed, blood-drenched earth? What about your music and your calculus and chemistry and your poetry? Who's to make more of that fine and high-intentioned stuff? And who's to profit by it if the race destroys itself at the seed and root? The world is sick, and sick to the soul and heart with the holocaust of cities, with the anguish of the peoples, with the pillars of smoke standing over our nations, with the high stench of burning flesh, with the torrent of tears of mothers and of little children. How long, O Lord? How long, Spirit of mankind?
I will not go back.
The people perish. I summon expert testimony.
In France, the loss of the young male population by the attrition of war and the deportation as slave labor of the vigorous young men threatens within 2 generations to reduce the population of France to some 25 millions.
I will not
a
go back.
loss of some 15 millions.
I will not go back.
The seed wastes away, and the root withers in the earth. The cities perish. The wealth of nations leaks out of the earth and vanishes in flames. The gold, the iron, the oil, the copper bleeds out of the lands as the life bleeds from the body of all mankind. The earth lies deep and heavy on how many million breasts, insensible to ecstasy. The world, bereft of youth, squats poor and tattered on some cosmic doorstep and asks for alms and slowly dies.
No, no, I am man. I will not go back.
They crouch like beasts again in caves, in bomb shelters, in subways. Over and over again they hear the wash and gurgle of the nearby sewers. The water whispers in their ears. The muck, the slime, the scum. The water whence man sprang, and all his wonders. It waits. The jungle and the primal ooze and the silt of birth, the ultimate death, are waiting. Waiting.
No.
The peoples gather in the west. The nations watch their constituted delegates and spokesmen move slowly to the city on the golden water. Survival or the jungle. These are the stakes. The wind stands silent in the treetops. The nations rest upon their work and pain and struggle and utter fervent prayer. The wind is still. The wind awaits decision in the west. Failure, folly, bickering for profit and advantage above the needs of man and peace. And the wind is loose. The wind is hurricane and ruin. Let us fail now, and apocalypse rides the wind with the 4 horsemen. In madness dwell on power, and power alone. And ours is the way of the dinosaur. The jungle is still close.
I have come this far. I will not go back.
So be it. Meanwhile, the flags are gathering in the west. The wind stirs restlessly, the banners open. The nations gather, and decision now is come. Speak, nations! Cry out, peoples! Let your suffering beyond all patience be heard from. Yours are the lives, yours are the children, and the children's children threatened. Yours are the homes to burn and blast, or to live in peace and love and beauty. Speak, peoples! Pray, nations! Judgment Day on earth is here. The spirit of man poises above the concrete and the steel, the temples and the farms, the rivers and the mountains and the seas, above the work, the play, the bloodshed, and the hopes and aspirations of the peoples. There is a hush in the streets. The multitudes are silent, and the spirit watches.
Out of the mists of time, out of the ooze and slime, out of the dreadful dawning, out of the dim, wet morning of the earth, I came, and I will not go back.
Take care. The jungle is close.
Yet I will not crouch again upon my haunches in some cave, in Sussex or in Java, sucking the raw red marrow out of carrion bones, grunting and bestial, howling the moon. I will not be jackal to the tiger again. I have outlived the darkness. I have outgrown the law of claw and fang. I have journeyed this far, and I will not go back.
Take care. Either man will know the need for universal law and lawfulness, tolerance and love, and justice for all men, or his very soul is forfeit, and the race at last is suicide.
No! I will not go back.
So be it. Let there then be reason and sanity in the city of the West. Let the war drums throb no longer, and the battle flags be furled. In the Parliament of Nations, Federation of the World.
Joan Loring appeared tonight through the courtesy of Warner Brothers and may soon be seen in another fine performance in the film version of the Broadway stage success, The Corn is Green. The musical score for tonight's special broadcast was composed and conducted by Bernard Katz. Remember to be with us next week at this same time when Shenley's Cresta Blanca wine will bring you a radio adaptation of a current bestseller, Anything Can Happen, presented for your entertainment by CRESTA, BLANCA. Cresta Blanca. Cresta Blanca. This Is My Best, prepared in collaboration with Whit Burnett, editor of the book This Is My Best, is a presentation of the Cresta Blanca Wine Company of Livermore, California, and came to you from Columbia's Playhouse in Hollywood. Vern Smith speaking. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
Good evening. This is Orson Welles, inviting you to listen to Anything Can Happen on Cresta Blanca's This Is My Best.
This is My Best, America's greatest stars in the world's best stories. Presented each week by Shenley's Cresta Blanca wine. Wine of friendly nature. Pride of the vintner's art. Symbol of hospitality. Compliment to honored guest. A wine to serve proudly, saying, "This is my best. This is Cresta Blanca." CRESTA, BLANCA. Cresta Blanca. Cresta Blanca. Now, here is our producer.
Orson Welles again. Anything Can Happen by George and Helen Papashvili is not so much a story as a collection of people, pretty wonderful people. So I think we're lucky that our cast tonight includes some pretty wonderful performers. Edgar Beria, Constantine Shane, and Peg Lecentra among them. As a book, the original of tonight's dramatization topped and is still topping bestseller lists. It was a Book of the Month Club selection, and as I understand it, any resemblance to persons living or dead is just as it should be. At any rate, when you've heard us out, I think you'll agree with J.P. Marquand that if there's to be any revision of the immigration quotas, let's have more Georgians. The capital of this particular Georgia, by the way, is not Atlanta, but Tiflis, the hometown of Joseph Stalin, where presumably, as in America, anything can happen. To Helen Smith, 568 North Irving Pitchell Street, dearest Helen. I think I call you Helena. Sounds better the way I pronounce Helena. Okay. Dearest Helena, before you and me get married, first I think I make confession. 6 months after I arrived in America, Helen, I weep with shame upon your shoulder. Already I am jailbird. Happened this way.
Had my first American-bought suit on, purple striped tie with handkerchief to match, and the real Yankee Doodle hat from straw. I felt happy and full of prance. 5, 6 other fellows and me is going for Sunday walk in public park. Suddenly, we see beautiful tree, all foaming over with white blossoms.
Flowers. Most beautiful flowers I've ever seen.
Fine sight calling Ingles dogswood.
I'm gonna pick 'em. Take bouquet to my girlfriend.
Good idea. I'll pick flowers for Lady Frank.
Hey, use your brains better, my friends. Why spoil tree?
Oh, plenty flowers for all. Come on, give me boost up.
Here's a fine branch.
Stolen flowers to ladies. Shows no respect.
Hey, Kareel, look. I think we got enough.
Sure. There's a policeman coming. Let's get out of here.
Here, Georgie. Hold the rest of my bouquet.
Where are you going?
I have to tie my shoelace.
You have to tie your shoelace?
George Papashvili, charge, defacing public property, violation of ordinance number 10351. How do you plead?
Not guilty, Your Honesty.
Young man, address the court as sir.
Yes, sir.
This officer says you and your friends were destroying public property.
Yes, sir. Dogswood Tree. Someone speaking, I'm holding.
Have you any proof of this?
No, Highness. Friends was with me that they can't come today. They all plead guilty. Send in fine cheaper than to lose day's pay.
Well, why didn't you do that?
If I'm guilty, I admit, Your Honesty. But if I'm not guilty, no man gonna make me say I am. Just as much a lie to say you're guilty when you're not.
How long have you been in the United States?
6 months.
In court before?
No, sir.
Ever in trouble at home? Assault or kill a man?
But yes, sir, many times.
How many times?
How many times? Hundreds, man, I'm killing. After first year, I never counted them anymore.
Well, where was this?
In the war, I'm sniper. It's my job to shoot all Germans, you see. Your honorable Germans...
I understand. Officer, I believe he's a truthful man. This time you were probably mistaken. Case dismissed.
I'm free? I can go now?
Yes, but before you go...
Yes, sir?
Step up here to the bench, young man. I'd like to shake hands with you.
What they tell me is true. In America, anything can happen. Comes now winter of 1932, same by old calendar. And it grieves me to report that I am not yet rich. His condition called depression. First, factories went, and one by one, little shops where somebody made his few pennies, closed, left the empty windows staring like dead eyes in empty streets. Each day, more and more found pink slip means don't come back tomorrow. Why? Stock market, some people think, but how can stock market reach out and take my piece of bread? In house where I live, things is going bad with them, too. Friday, I stopped in by landlady to pay my rent.
Please be to sit down, Georg Ivanich. Join me in glass tea.
Oh, thanks, Anna Fyodorovna. Your distinguished father keeps well?
My father is, pardon the expression, old fool. He thinks he's still somebody because he was once admiral in Tsar's navy. Here he is.
Oh, my babushka. Such long faces. Good evening, Georg Ivanich.
You're looking fit, Your Excellency.
Cut this cake, Father. Be pleased to take some, Georg Ivanovich. Is my father's name day?
Excellent cake, babushka. As good as the Tsar's own chef prepared it for me on my name day at Kronstadt when I was admiral to the Imperial Navy.
Go ahead, enjoy, Papasha. Who knows if you live to see another? Is any use to struggle more, I ask myself. Perhaps to die now is best thing. Give up. Stop living. Why not?
Well, maybe you wouldn't enjoy that any better either, Anna Fyodorovna, once you tried.
Oh, I know what we do. We go somewhere else. For that, at least, America is good. No matter where you are already, is always left another place to go.
Where we go?
Well, that takes time for deciding. Be quiet for a moment while I think.
What's everybody so quiet about?
Hush, Luba. Your grandfather is thinking.
Hello, Luba. What you learned today in school?
I don't go to school anymore. I quit.
Quit?
Quit?
Quit school?
I've taken a job.
Doing what, Luba?
Usher in the movies.
Usher.
Oh, how much it pays?
I see every movie, 3, 4, 5, how many times I want, free.
The theater. She has it from me, the theater. How I loved. In Petrograd we had box.
I have finished thinking.
Yes, Papasha.
This time we will go where everybody's speaking Russian. We go in Alaska.
They don't speak Russian in Alaska, Grandfather.
He's right, Excellency. Tsar sold to USA.
Ah, gossip. Nothing but gossip.
To pay his gambling debts with was the way I heard it.
Yes, yes, to Alaska. And the thick, quiet snow will fall and fall, frosting over the houses and the churches like little cakes. The bells will ring, and we shall see again the shining faces of our peasants. Yes, we all go. You too, Georgi.
Oh, but my junkyard. Why throw my job away? I don't want to go to Alaska.
Georgi. To go alone is impossible in the wilderness. Wolves be chasing us. A woman weak, helpless, a child only, a frail old gentleman. We be eaten alive.
Anna Fyodorovna, please, don't cry.
The hand of God rest heavy on the widow.
Gold! Is gold in Alaska? Jumped my mind. Of course you come with us. We dig for gold.
Okay, we dig for gold. Don't cry anymore, please, Anna Fyodorovna. Don't cry. It makes your tea weak.
Good. Only I have an intention to be a movie star, so I decided we're going to Hollywood.
Where is that?
In California, Hollywood. You go west.
Shall we not perish? Wolves be running alongside beside our droshky, closing in on us. We perish on the tundra, on the frozen steppe of Nebraska.
You are listening to Orson Welles' production of Anything Can Happen on This Is My Best, presented by the Cresta Blanca Wine Company. According to an old legend, 3 things are necessary to help make the invited guest feel at home: good company, good wine, good welcome. And when you include a 4th of your own choosing, good food, it all adds up to hospitality at its best, especially when you choose a fine wine to play host at your dinner party. A fine wine such as Cresta Blanca California Sauterne. To your hospitality, the golden wine lends an extra charming, friendly touch. It seems to say to every guest, "We're so glad you could join us tonight." This excellent Sauterne has a distinctive dry character that always awakens the hidden flavors in fine foods and creates pleasing taste harmonies. It's a light-bodied wine with a delicious, full flavor and a delicate aroma all its own. You will especially enjoy Cresta Blanca Sauterne when you serve it well chilled, for it's the crest of quality and wine since 1889.
All right, here comes part 2 of Anything Can Happen.
Turn right. Turn left. Straight. Steady at the helm, Georgi Ivanovich.
Excellency, you've guided us the worst possible road. Why we don't take number 12 U.S. Highway out of Detroit?
My boy, you'll never learn. Experienced travelers always take the back roads. That way you avoid the highwaymen, Tatar bandits, and marauding gypsies.
Day by day, I rode along and watched this wide, beautiful country open up before me. The automobiles going so whizzing past, the proud motorcycles, the turning tractor treads, and the people. Mennonites from Russia, Bohemians from Prague, and Irish section gangs and Welsh slate miners whose voices rose and fell like singing birds. In a little while, in painted homes in Iowa, what they call first settlers, families was pioneers from Ohio and Vermont. And before that... No, I don't feel bad no more about my broken language or my stranger ways. Now I see everybody in America is foreigner. Only different. Some come early and some come late. On we go on until about one day into Colorado, when His Excellency said he would take wheel and give me rest a while. I close my eyes, and when I open up, we are miles off road.
Now, Grigory Ivanovich, do not say anything in haste that you might regret later. I can explain everything, the way this happened.
I don't doubt it. Whatever it was, I don't doubt it.
So, his truck bust. We separate, and Georgy Ivanovich comes later with truck when he gets repaired. We send you money to fix truck from cost.
Where do you expect to get money in Los Angeles?
I have nephew, sister's oldest son. He lends me.
Know where lives this nephew?
Why, certainly I know he's my nephew, isn't it? Oh, worry no more. I send the money immediately. General delivery.
Almost a week passed. But last one morning, I went into post office.
Well, here's your letter.
Thank you. But no, it wasn't any letter. It was postcard from His Excellency.
In here, okay, arrived. Thanks be to God. Weather fine. He was twice on beach. Saw movie star in fish market. Your friend, Grigory Petrovich Vorontsov, Admiral, Imperial Navy. Postscriptum. I didn't find my nephew yet. Don't worry, I keep looking.
With not eating and working terrible hard on truck in desert, I was some fine sight, I tell you, when I finally come bedraggling into Los Angeles. I finally place Excellency wrote me, but there wasn't there no more. Landlady gave me address in Hollywood. I ring, fancy doorbell. I wait.
Georgy Ivanovich, come in. Come in.
Oh, it's you, Georgie.
Luba, what has happened to you?
What's wrong with me?
Pink fur you're wearing. Pink fur. Boy, I like to see animal that thing come from.
Georgy Ivanovich.
Well, Anna Theodore, your worry's all done. We unload the furnitures right now, huh?
We don't want that old junk.
You don't want old junk. Your mother's furnitures we brought all the way.
We got all new furniture. Put it on the scrap heap.
What's the matter with your daughter, Anna Theodore? She gone crazy?
Worse, dear friend. Much worse. She is in movies now.
By now, I am nearly 3 years from old country. And all that time, I never heard one word spoken in our language, Georgian. Once on my day off, I took plenty time, got dressed up, went over to university. Such big professors, I thought maybe one of them somewhere can speak Georgian. But professors shook heads, and
One took book down from shelf.
Well, my boy, do you realize you speak one of the few tongues in the world that is unrelated to any other language group?
Traces of Sumerian may be noted in it, I believe.
Then they asked me to speak to them in Georgian. But what was use of that? To speak without hope of an answer is to beat on a split drum head. So I shook hands with them and went away. After that, I began to carry songs around with me in my throat, as some have pocket pieces to touch. When I walked along, I sang little bits that wouldn't stay out of my head. Shogari, Sarakatopleo, Shongari, Odelolo. I was singing that way. So I went down to the new laundry for my shirts. The man behind the counter stared when he took the ticket from me. But I was getting used to that.
Hey, you know, you're singing a funny kind of language, all right? What do you do over there? Hey!
I guess all languages are funny to those who are not speaking them, mister.
Yeah, well, that's pretty good, huh? That's all right. Hey, let me tell you, we got a fellow work over here. Everybody call him Uncle John. You know, he speak a funny language, too. You know what he do? He put a piece of ones in the newspapers. Hey, I guess it was about 10 years ago. And he said like this: I pay $1,000 to anybody who can speak my language. That's what he say over there. A few people came, but nobody could speak him. Hey, you wait a minute over there. I call him. Uncle John! Uncle John!
Who sings Skulls na Poti?
So at last, I hear my own language after 3 years.
3 years? 3 years, and yet you complain? Think of me, my son. Today, I have heard the sound of home for the first time in 30 years.
And after that, every night, when my work was through, I would go there, and we would talk together in Georgian. We never got tired. The words rolled out from our mouths like the Kura River comes down in spring, and our ears were full of hearing. Of all fair sights in world, the best, yes, ever the best, is to meet with face of friend in land of the stranger. I didn't see Uncle John for a couple months or even a year at a time. But whenever America go too fast for me, with movings, different jobs, never twice people's faces, I took pleasure to think about Uncle John. Always somewhere, forever the same. So, now Helena, my dearest wife-to-be, is almost completed my confessions. Only one thing more yet I should tell. When I bring news about you that we are engaged for marriage, all my friends, Anna Feodorovna, His Excellency Admiral from Imperial Navy, Uncle John, Georgian, all greets me with long horse faces.
You take big chance, Georgi Ivanich.
To marry with American girl, big chance.
You say so. Name 3 good reasons.
First place, American young ladies don't like foreigner names. One young Russian knew him well. Immediately he married American young lady. She made him go to court to take the name Gerbert Goover.
Gerbert Goover? What for?
For honor after the president. Now, next election, Gerbert Goover don't wins. How he feels then, that Russian fellow?
No good he feels.
We haven't told you the worst. American young ladies keep bud guts.
Bud guts? What's bud guts?
Bud guts means writing down monies before you spend.
Before I spend, writing down?
You stop in Russian club, drinking glass vodka, eat piece herring maybe for your stomach. You have to write down in bud guts first. I'm drinking vodka, 35 cents. Eating piece herring too, 10 cents.
I don't believe you. Can't be true.
Well, it's no use making him feel bad. They are promised to each other.
Aye, that's right. Damage is done.
Well, I didn't pay any attention to them, and anything was fine. So now Helen and I have family in America. Sister with sweet face that smiles. Even grandmother. Should have everybody a grandmother to make a dignified ornament for house. So I live under bright blue sky in my shining world until ladies is planning for wedding company. Remember, your grandmother is discussing.
Now, if you want to invite 10 or 11 people and 15 more of us here, let's see, we'd better count on about 30, I suppose. Now, patty shells, 4 chickens. Mushrooms.
I beg your pardon, you say 4 chickens?
Why, yes, George. Do you think that would be too much?
Grandmother, let's we face it. On subject food, never twins shall meet.
Suppose we do it this way. You tell us about a wedding breakfast in Georgia.
Well, first comes fishes. We get Uncle John to do the cooking. Maybe white sturgeon smoked over hickory, mountain trout fried in sweet butter, a kalmakis, big fish baked with sliced lemon in mouth, then caviar.
Oh, why, it sounds like a real good Shaw dinner back home in the state of Maine.
What comes next, George?
Gracious. Is there more?
Well, next comes the meats. But first off, turkeys, then shashlik and the roasted ox, and after... So at last, my Helen, a big day arrives. We married, you and I. Wife and man together. So now, Helena, don't start our home by keeping secrets from each other. What Uncle John told you?
Another recipe.
Another recipe? My God, what was this one for?
If you want to be happy married, he told me, at least once a day say to your husband, I love you. And whenever you sit down to a table for a Georgian, remember, only too much is ever enough.
Give attention. Please, give attention, everybody. Please.
We drank a lot of toast today. For everybody as himself, for the children, for the mothers and fathers, for our hostess and our host. Now, I'm going to propose something different. Excellency, please to stop cracking nuts and listen to me.
Sorry, Uncle John.
Well, this little glass is for home. I see a lot of American faces around. I like to tell them we are pleased to see them at our party, especially since we had honor to be at their white table, which is United States in America. We tried to be good guests. I hope we was. This is one home. Lots of other kind of peoples we are here too. Georgians, Russians, Greek, Latvian, Estonian, Irish, regular league nations. I drink for all those homes too. And it gives me hope when I see us sitting down so peaceful together. Maybe the whole world gonna learn how to do it too. After all, it's only enjoyable way to live. So, for home.
I drink with pleasure. For home. Its floor is the earth. Its roof is the sky.
For home.
Shenley's Cresta Blanca wine joins the audience here in Hollywood in applauding Anything Can Happen, Orson Welles' production on This Is My Best. In a few moments, Mr. Welles will be back to tell you about next week. A clever hostess soon learns that when an unexpected guest drops in for dinner, a fine table wine often saves the day, especially when she serves a fine Cresta Blanca California table wine with dinner. This excellent wine always lends grace and charm to the occasion and helps make the unexpected guest feel that special preparations have been made for his enjoyment. Then, too, a fine table wine like Cresta Blanca adds a supreme flavor touch to the simplest meals. Among the many wines of Cresta Blanca, you're sure to find the one specially suited to your taste. You may prefer a red table wine, such as Cresta Blanca California Burgundy or Claret, or a white table wine like Cresta Blanca California Sauterne. With simple meals for the family, or when you entertain, serve Cresta Blanca, the crest of quality and wine since 1889. Now, Mr. Orson Welles.
Well, our show next week is finally Don't Catch Me, and our star is my favorite actress, Miss Rita Hayworth. Please join us until then. I remain, as always, obediently hers.
Our musical score was composed and conducted by Bernard Katz. The motion picture version of Anything Can Happen will be produced by RKO Radio Pictures. Don't forget, next week, Rita Hayworth and Orson Welles will star in a radio adaptation of Don't Catch Me by Richard Powell. And remember, whenever you dine, dine with wine, and make it the best wine. Cresta Blanca. Cresta Blanca. Cresta Blanca. This Is My Best, prepared in collaboration with Whit Burnett, editor of the book This Is My Best, is a presentation of the Cresta Blanca Wine Company of Livermore, California, and came to you from Columbia's Playhouse in Hollywood. Vern Smith speaking. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
Now, listen to Jack Benny in Robert Riley Crutcher's Best in Radio, Babes in the Woods, on Cresta Blanca's This Is My Best. This is My Best, America's greatest stars in the world's best stories. Presented each week by Shenley's Cresta Blanca wine. Wine of friendly nature, pride of the vintner's art, symbol of hospitality. Compliment to honored guests. A wine to serve proudly, saying, "This is my best. This is Cresta Blanca." C-R-E-S-T-A, B-L-A-N-C-A. Cresta Blanca. Cresta Blanca. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is James Wallington, your Cresta Blanca host. We are proud that tonight's program has been chosen for rebroadcast overseas. We had prepared several pages of introductions for our star tonight, but we found that millions know him for his Sunday night broadcast, his motion pictures. He can currently be seen in the Warner Brothers production, The Horn Blows at Midnight. GIs know him, too, for his overseas jaunts to entertain our soldiers. His name, Jack Benny, who will be heard tonight as Kenneth Maxwell in Robert Riley Crutcher's amusing best story, Babes in the Woods. And so, Cresta Blanca presents Jack Benny on This Is My Best. If you live in Hollywood and saw the movie trade papers this morning, you probably noticed the following items. Kenneth Maxwell, Academy Award winner for the best screenplay of 1944, trains east today for the Broadway production of his new play, Babes in the Woods, which Maxwell will produce and direct. Sandra Starling, star of his last two pictures, accompanies him to New York, where they will wed. Well, I know them both, and I wish them all the luck in the world. He'll need it.
Why? That's what I want to know. Why? If you could get one train reservation, why couldn't you have gotten two?
Sandra, darling, I tried to get...
You tried. Didn't you tell him we were engaged, that we were going to be married as soon as we got to New York?
Yes.
I would like to be there for my own wedding.
Dearest, I was hopeless without you. If the ticket agent had only seen how beautiful and lovely you are, he would have given us anything.
Oh, well, I suppose I should have gone with you. You really think he would have done it for me?
They'll call you the moment there's a reservation available. Meanwhile, I can get some very important business and production problems out of the way. Excuse me a minute.
How do you do, Mr. Maxwell? I understand you are producing a play.
Yes.
Strange as it may seem, I happen to be at liberty at the moment. I've had 40 years' experience as a juvenile. Surely you've seen my picture, Rose of the South.
I seem to recall the aroma. I'm very sorry, but I'm not casting my play until I get to New York. Good day.
Dinner is served.
I beg your pardon?
Dinner is served. I also do butler parts, Mr. Maxwell.
So do I. Mr. Maxwell is not at home.
Jen. Here's a long-distance call from New York.
Thank you, dear. Hello? Yes? The which? The Cute and Clever Kitties Dramatic School? Yes, I got all your wires, but I don't want any cute and clever kitties. What? I know my play is called Babes in the Woods, but they're not that kind of babes. Not that kind of woods, either. Madam, I'm sorry. I'm late for my train. Goodbye.
Really, Ken, you'll have to do something before I get to New York. I simply will not have my honeymoon cluttered up with these frustrated hands.
Darling, don't give it another thought. The moment I arrive at the Grand Central Station, I'll have everything under control.
Attention, please. Train leaving New York for Pittsburgh, Chicago, and points west on track 5.
Hey, mister, do me a favor, will you?
What?
Would you mind doing me a favor?
Certainly, if I can.
Look, this here's my kid, Patsy.
Well, how do you do, Patsy?
Why ain't you in uniform?
A lovely child.
She's smart, all right, too smart. You see, it's like this. I'm in defense work. I'm a key man, and I'm being shipped to the West Coast, and I got to get on that train. You see, mister, I got nobody to leave her with, so I put her in a home.
Well, look,
a boarding house for kids, see? But she comes down here to say goodbye, and now I got no time to take her back. Mister, I want you should put her in a cab and send her back home. Here, I'll give you the dough.
No, never mind. I'll be glad to do it.
Oh, that's swell of you. I wrote the address on her ration book and put it in her purse. Thanks a lot. So long, Patsy. Be a good kid.
Okay, goodbye.
Well, come along, Patsy. I'll find a nice, pretty yellow cab for you. And then you can go for a wonderful ride. Won't that be grand?
No.
What's the name of this home where you're staying?
I won't tell you.
I'll get you something nice. What would you like?
A baby brother.
Well, I walked into that one. I meant anything except a baby brother.
A baby sister.
Where was I? Oh, yes. Tell me the name of your home, dear.
No, I don't like it there. I won't go back, and you can't make me. You ain't my daddy.
You shouldn't say I ain't your daddy. You know better than that. Now, let me see your address on your ration book. Here, give me your purse.
No, let go of my purse. Let go of my purse.
Shh, people are staring.
Give me back my purse. Give me back my purse.
Hey, what's going on here?
Oh, hello, officer. Hello.
Did you try to snatch that kid's purse?
Well, certainly not. Do I look like the kind of a man who goes around taking money from little children? Ridiculous. All I wanted was her ration book. That's all.
Her ration book, is it? Well, maybe you'd like to come down to the station and try our canned goods.
It's perfectly all right. You see, she's my little girl. Come, dear. Taxi! Here's one.
I don't want to ride in this taxi cab. I want to ride in that one with a pretty girl driving it.
You're going to ride in this cab whether you like it or... Hey, she is pretty, isn't she? I mean, of course, if it'll make you happy. Taxi?
Yes, sir. Where to?
Here's $5. I want you to take this charming young lady to, well, you'll find the address in her purse. Goodbye, Patsy. Remember what your daddy told you. Be a good girl.
Daddy.
Daddy, don't leave me. Don't send me back to the orphan's home. Oh, please don't, Daddy.
Hey, just a minute, you. What's this orphan's home routine?
Oh, she's not my child.
No?
No.
And why is she calling you Daddy?
I don't know. Patsy, what's the matter? You know I'm not your daddy.
Uh-huh. But you said I shouldn't say you ain't my daddy.
That's right. You shouldn't say I ain't. But the point is, I ain't. I mean, where's that address?
I don't want to go back there.
Where is it?
I tore it off and ate it.
You what?
Now, see here, mister. There's something behind this.
Yeah, if she doesn't behave, I'm going straight to the bottom of it, too.
If you strike that child, I'll call the police.
I'm not going to strike her. I simply want to get rid of her.
Do you know you can get 10 years for abandoning a child?
Young woman, I am a bachelor. It's very embarrassing to have a child on my hands. She belongs in a home where she will be very well taken care of.
That's a man for you, tossing his responsibilities to the wind and breathing on his way to more adventures. You ought to be horsewhipped.
I'm trying to explain to you that this is not my child.
Is that so?
Oh, it's you, officer.
You told me this was your little girl.
Well, yes, she was. But right now she is. I mean, she wasn't. Look, we're leaving. The Hudson Arms Hotel, please.
I'm sleepy.
Well, as soon as we get up to my apartment, you can take a nap while I do some telephoning.
Yes, sir?
I'm Kenneth Maxwell. You have my reservation for a suite.
Oh, yes, Mr. Maxwell, the bridal suite, but,
But what?
But you didn't mention that you had a child.
Now, look, don't you start that. Look, did you or did you not accept my reservation for the bridal suite?
Yes, but we were hardly expecting a child bride.
This is very silly. Well, let's be reasonable. Does this little girl look like anything like me?
Well, no, she doesn't.
Of course she doesn't. She belongs to friends of mine. I brought her a present from Hollywood, and I want to take her upstairs while I get it out of my luggage.
Oh, I beg your pardon. I'll get your keys at once.
What did you bring me from Hollywood, Daddy? A baby brother?
Daddy? Did she say Daddy?
No, Laddie. She's a little Scotch girl.
Oh, I'm sorry. You'll have to go elsewhere.
But...
Good day, sir.
Taxi?
Oh, you again.
I knew they wouldn't take the kids. Where do you want to be turned down next?
Let's try the Park Plaza. And this time, will you please keep Patsy in the cab until I get the room?
Oh, no. You're not deserting any kid in my cab. And I can tell you right now they won't take kids at the Park Plaza.
There must be some place in town that'll accept children.
Yes, the maternity ward, but they won't accept you.
No, I'm sorry. No kids, no pets, no rooms.
Kid, are you calling this midget a kid?
No midgets, no kids, no pets, no rooms.
Midnight. We've covered every place in town. What are you supposed to do with children these days? Refuse delivery?
I'm sleepy. When are we going, Daddy? Bye.
I don't know, Patsy. It seems there's a feeling covering everything but us.
Look, maybe I'm a sucker, but, well, I work all night, and you can take the kid to my apartment.
Oh, that's wonderful. I'm exhausted.
I'm not doing it for you, you baby abandoner. I'm doing it for your poor little child.
I'm afraid you'll have to sleep in your whatchamacallit tonight, Patsy. If you want me, I'll be on the couch in the next room.
Tell me a story.
I've told so many tonight, I can't think of any more.
I can't go to sleep without a story.
All right. Let me see. Once upon a time in Hollywood, there was a big, bad wolf. And, no, you better say your prayers and go to bed.
Aren't you going to say them with me?
Well, I haven't said them for quite some time.
Why? Did you get everything you wanted?
Well, we shouldn't always ask for things, Patsy. We should express gratitude for what we have and ask God to make us good.
Daddy, you're already good.
Well, thank you, dear, but I think perhaps there's a little room for improvement. I'll say them with you.
Well, kneel down beside me. Put your hands in front of your face and bow your head.
Like this?
Uh-huh. Jesus, tender shepherd, hear me. Through the darkness, be thou near me. Keep me safe till morning light. And bless my new daddy, too. And please don't let him send me back to the home. Because I love him so. Thanks a lot. Amen.
Amen.
What's the matter, Daddy?
Nothing, just a little smoke in my eyes, I guess. Come here, get in my lap. That's the girl. La 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 la. It's 8 o'clock. Wake up. I'm going to give you a nice hot bath, darling, and then...
Thank you, dear, but I've already had one.
Oh, I thought... Where's Patsy?
Getting dressed. Breakfast will be ready in 3 minutes. Orange juice, sausage, waffles, and coffee. How's that sound?
A lot better than that menu last night. Cold shoulder and that other thing.
Now, I'm terribly ashamed of myself. After I left you last night, I went back to the station, talked to reporters. And they told me about... It was splendid of you to look after Patsy. And after breakfast, I'll try and help you find her home.
Well, there's really no rush.
Oh. Why should you be bothered with her? She's not yours. That's what those homes are for.
I know, but she dreads going back there. You see, I had a rather miserable night, thinking. If I had a child like Patsy, well, I don't believe I could stand the thought of her being unhappy.
I like you, Mr. Maxwell.
Ken. Thank you, Miss,
Diane.
Diane. What?
I didn't say anything.
Oh.
What?
Nothing. Say, you haven't been driving a cab very long, have you?
Oh, you noticed that. But I'm getting better. Really, I am. This morning, I almost got a pedestrian.
Really?
No, the trouble with me is I haven't been allowing for deflection. You see, you have to leave the target and...
Here,
and then...
sit down beside me. Let me see your hands.
Why?
Look at them. Those aren't the hands of a taxi driver. They're soft and fragile and delicate as a cloud. Beautiful. They don't look like they've ever done a hard day's work.
Neither do yours.
Well, that's because of the kind of work I do. You know. I write plays. Sometimes I play the violin. You know. Plays mostly. I just dabble with the violin.
Oh, you also work pretty fast, don't you?
Yeah. About Patsy now.
You know, if you want to adopt her, there'll be a lot of red tape. You'll have to notify the police.
I'll see if she's dressed. Patsy, are you dressed?
Yes, Daddy. I'm making my bed.
Never mind the bed. We'll do it after we've seen the police. Hurry, dear. Now, lead me to that breakfast.
Yeah, the coffee will be ready in a second.
I better go and get it. Patsy! Patsy! Diane, she's gone.
What? What?
Well,
Here's a note on the dresser.
Let me have it. Dear Daddy, I love you, even if you don't love me. I guess it is. I don't know. Something, police. Great heavens, she thought I was going to turn her over to the police.
Oh, the poor little kid. Where'll she go? How are we going to find her?
Well, she isn't here, and she won't go back to the home. That eliminates 2 places out of 7 million.
You are listening to Jack Benny in Babes in the Woods on Cresta Blanca's This Is My Best. The jolly but unlooked-for guest full often proves to be the best. How very true that is. For haven't you noticed that often the informal dinner party created on the spur of the moment is usually a great success? It is especially true if the hostess is prepared with some extra charming touch to make the unlooked-for guest feel that special preparations have been made for his enjoyment. That extra charming touch may be a fine wine, such as Cresta Blanca California Sauterne, served with the dinner. For this excellent Sauterne lends a gay, a friendly note to even the most informal meal. Alive with golden highlights, it has a delicate aroma all its own. Served with dinner, Cresta Blanca Sauterne is a compliment to your guests and always adds extra zest to fine food. It is especially delightful when served well chilled. You are sure to enjoy Cresta Blanca Sauterne, for it has been the crest of quality in wine since 1889. Now, This Is My Best brings you the second act of Babes in the Woods, starring Jack Benny. Ken and and Diane, in their frantic search for the missing Patsy, have been making the rounds of the police station.
No, mister, no. Can't you understand English? We haven't got your little girl. We've got burglars, pickpockets, firebugs, panhandlers, forgers, card sharps, cracksmen, shoplifters, counterfeiters, vagrants, yakes, and bunco men, but we haven't got your kid. Well, I'll leave my phone number. And don't forget her description. Soft, dark hair that falls down around her shoulders. Blue eyes with long, curly lashes. A cute little nose and lusciously formed lips.
Yes, mister. I'll notify you as soon as we pick up Hetty Lamar.
Come on, Diane. There's a chance, just a chance, she went back to the house.
Well, there's only one more place to try. Mrs. Schlupp's boarding house for children. Down this street. If she isn't there, why don't you give up? You're wearing yourself out. You have so much work ahead of you on that play.
The what? Oh, yes, the play. How can I concentrate on a play when Patsy may be wandering around the city somewhere cold and hungry?
Well, then I'm afraid you'll have to go on without me.
Diana, now please don't leave me. I couldn't do anything without you. I need you.
Oh, Ken.
You're the most precious thing in the world to me.
Oh, Ken, do you mean that?
Of course I mean it. I'd be helpless without a taxi cab.
Oh. In that case, I'll turn on the meter.
Did I say something to hurt you?
No.
Oh. Well, you looked at me just... Your eyes were so cold.
Were they?
Oh, they're usually very soft and warm and exciting.
They are?
Diane.
Yes.
I don't know just how to say it. Since I've known you,
Yes?
Well, what I'm trying to put into words, is that
Yes?
Well, you're the only...
Here's Mrs. Schlupp.
I don't want any.
Pardon me, do you have a child here named Patsy?
Patsy? Patsy. How many teeth you got in front?
All except one. Draw her left,
Oh, the southpaw. Yes, she's back. Why?
Thank heavens, I've come to take her away.
Okay, I'll get 'em ready.
Thank you, right. Them?
Yes, them, Patsy's brothers and sisters. If you don't want no child of yours here, you can take 'em, all 5 of 'em.
5? 5? Diane!
All right, kiddies. Here's the apartment.
I want some candy. I want a hanky.
I'm thirsty.
I'm sleepy.
I'm empty.
I'm hungry.
I'm groggy. Company, fall in. Count off.
Charlotte, Ashley, Melanie, Ritz, Patsy.
How did that Yankee get in there? No Patsy and Gone with the Wind.
Folks must have seen a double feature.
Diane, what am I going to do with them all?
Oh, I can sleep here in my apartment, but I don't know where we'll put you.
Don't worry about me. I'll just loosen my collar and hang myself on the coat tree. Diane, you're a peach. I love you. But how the devil am I going to look after them? I'll be at the theater all hours.
Take them to the theater with you.
Nah, that wouldn't work. All my attention will be on the stage.
And put them on the stage.
On the stage?
Yeah, in the play. Why not?
5 kids? What am I doing? The Life of Candor?
Well, didn't you say one of the women is supposed to have 2 children?
Yes,
Well,
but...
that settles it. You're the author. Simply write in 3 more.
But she can't have 5 kids. She's only 22.
That's what she says.
There are only supposed to be 2 kids who cause a lot of trouble.
5 will cause that much more. You ought to know. And it'll strengthen the plot.
Well, I don't know. Maybe. Hang it all, yes. I'll do it. I can kill 2 birds with 1 brush. I can give all my attention to the stage and still keep an eye on the kids. Diane, what would I do without you? I love you.
Better be careful. That's twice you've said that.
Well, I love you twice as much.
Oh, Ken. When should we be married?
Married? Diane, I'm afraid.
Darling, this apartment will be much too small for all of us, but I know just the place. I saw the cutest little house in Flatbush.
Look.
Ken, think of it. A little home with me and a white picket fence running around it.
Diane, wait. Look. Diane, look, there's something I have to tell you.
And it has a lawn, too. You know, grass. And you won't believe it, a swinging gate. Oh, I can see you now. You're coming home from the theater, and I'm waiting for you at the door. I take your arm and help you up the steps.
Am I that old?
Oh, of course not. Of course not, silly. You've had a hard day. You're all tuckered out.
See, I'm all in. Diane, please, I have to explain. Look, I dread telling you this, Diane, but you see, I'm already...
Already what?
Look, the kids are hungry. We'd better get us something to eat.
All right, let's see what we can scrape up in the kitchen, huh?
Company, forward, march.
Hello, Ken.
Hello. Come on, Kitty. Sandra.
The door was open, so I came on in.
Well, darling, I wasn't expecting you for another week.
Obviously. I called the theater when I arrived, and they said you gave them this address. So these are the production problems you had to take care of. 5 of them.
Sandra, dear, if you're jumping to conclusions, see, the father of these children is a defense worker. He's building...
What's his name?
He's building. Huh?
What's his name?
Oh, he's building planes for his country, is he? Now, I'm merely looking after them. Isn't that right, Patsy?
Uh-huh.
There. And did I ever see you? Any one of you before yesterday?
No, Daddy.
Daddy! Well, don't think you've made a fool out of me. Truth is, I never did love you. I was only sacrificing myself for my career. You were just the means to an end, and this is the end. Goodbye.
Well, that's that. As the fairy stories go, the beautiful princess has removed her mask and revealed herself to be a witch.
Oh, Ken, I didn't know about her. It's all my fault.
Nonsense. I'm glad it happened. I wasn't in love with her. I've known that ever since I've known you.
You mustn't say that.
It's true, Diane. Will you marry an adoring bachelor with 5 kids?
But...
You know, an offer like this doesn't come every day. Think, woman. A bachelor who's wealthy, rich. 6 ration books.
Well, you don't know anything about me. I'm wearing a mask, too.
I'll never take it off. It's beautiful.
It's horrible, Ken, that this whole thing was a lie, a plot.
Plot?
I'm not a taxi driver. I'm a dramatic coach. I have a school for children.
Wait a minute. Not that,
Yes, the cute and clever kiddies.
I love that name.
I thought it'd help my school if I could place some of them in a Broadway production. I knew you had parts for a couple of children, but you wouldn't answer my wires or listen to me over the phone. I had to do something.
Then you mean that defense worker?
My brother.
And Mrs. Schlupp?
My sister.
I see. In other words, you deliberately...
Yes. I plotted everything. But I didn't dream it would go so far. I didn't know you'd fall in love with me. And I didn't know I'd fall in love with you.
Now, Diane, wait a minute. Now, look, you can't escape things by running away.
All right. I'll stay and face it.
Never mind facing it. Face me. Look at me, Diane. I love you. You know, it was really a very clever idea. In fact, it was a brilliant idea.
Yes, it was. And I can't even take the credit for that. I stole the whole idea from a wonderful short story I read several years ago.
I know, darling. I wrote it.
Bentley's Cresta Blanca wine joins our audience here in Hollywood in applauding Jack Benny for his performance in Babes in the Woods. Cresta Blanca wine has enjoyed bringing you This Is My Best during the past season, and we hope you have been entertained by these programs. Our musical score tonight was composed and conducted by Bernard Katz. Totally different, excitingly dramatic, that's The Doctor Fights, the thrill-packed series of programs which comes to the air next week. Your doctors are fighting in this war, too, fighting to save lives. The dramatic true stories of their heroic exploits on the battlefront is the theme of the series of programs you will hear over Columbia Broadcasting Stations at this same time, beginning next week. Tune in The Doctor Fights with Cary Grant as next week's brilliant guest star. And remember, whenever you dine with wine, and make it the best wine. C-R-E-S-T-A. BLANCA. Cresta Blanca. Cresta Blanca.
That was Orson Welles. This is my best from 1945. We will have more of the tribute to Orson Welles next week, which is the final week. Airchecks is normally a 3-hour podcast uploaded every Saturday and broadcast on the K-Tai radio network every Sunday. See you on the same time and same channel.